All right, welcome to MazzaMedia. I am Mark. It is Sunday, March 15th of the year 2026. This is now the 13th Kelsey Fitzsimmons fundraiser. It was a massive week for Kelsey Fitzsimmons this week. It was an incredible day in court, and there's a lot of positivity right now among supporters of Kelsey Fitzsimmons. This has been a long, enduring battle to fight for Kelsey and fight along Kelsey, but guess what, folks? It's beginning to pay off more and more as the weeks go by, and there were a lot of wins. A lot to celebrate this week, and a lot of things that people were looking for a long, long time. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, GiveSendGo link is pinned to the top of the chat. It is also in the description of this video. There are multiple links in the description of this video as well. Additionally, there's the Amazon Giftful list as well. The Facebook group link is there. Please be sure to join the Facebook link. They work very hard over there, and they have a lot of great information for everybody to stay up to date about all the latest news as it pertains to Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Throw up your purple hearts, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for that. Kelsey and her family, if they're watching, we're looking forward to helping you guys out. Again, it was a great week, and it's just the beginning. There's more victory to come, I'd say. Beyond that, the popcorn fundraiser begins again tomorrow. A shout out to Allison and Meredith Spencer. This was asked by, I was in the Rat House Media chat last week, and people in the comments saying, Mazza, we need the popcorn store back. I said, I'll contact Allison. We'll get it underway, and she's got it all worked out. That link will be, I think they're revealing that link on Facebook tonight, and that's going to run for 1 week from the 16th through the 23rd, which is the very first day of jury selection / trial. Polar flavor today, it was asked. That polar flavor today, Courtney H. from Florida, is strawberry cream. And then if I run out of that, I got pomegranate on standby. So we're good to go. We got plenty of fluids here. We got great guests, fantastic guests. First off, from Denmark is Broken Baker. Welcome,
Thank
Broken
you
Baker.
for having me back. And I didn't even know your name was Mark. You're just Mazza.
Yeah, it's Mark or Mazza, whichever is fine. There was a special guest here. There's always special guests here, but there is a first-time special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I love birthday cake, but what's just as good as birthday cake is cupcakes. So cupcakes, get ready for the first time ever on MazzaMedia, an attorney by the name of Melanie Little.
Hi. That's so funny. My two salt of the earth friends. I was today years old when I found out that your name was Mark, I think, as well. So great to meet you, Mark, aka Mazza. But we've met in real life too. You remember we've met in real life. Yep. So I know what a great guy you are in person, and amazing vibes. And hey, everybody in the chat, love you guys. Lucky 13 today. Lucky 13.
Yeah.
And this must be diabetes awareness because cupcakes and muffin tops are coming together.
That's right. That's right. With a side of polar seltzer.
You're right. Exactly. Sugar-free, of course. That's the way I roll. So. Oh, it's just fantastic. So I'm excited, and there's going to be other guests with us today as well. They'll be coming throughout the show. But we're very privileged to be here again to help out Kelsey Fitzsimmons and her family. Again, this was a huge week for Kelsey. Melanie Little and Broken Baker both covered this live this past week. And I'll start off by asking you, Melanie, with the question that's really on a lot of people's minds right now: jury trial or bench trial?
If it was me and I could be guaranteed that Judge Karp would be sitting on the case, I would go with a bench trial. But here's the interesting thing, and I think maybe you could refresh my recollection on this because it's a long time ago and I'm covering a lot of cases. But I remember when Judge Karp was first assigned to this case, did he disclose that he had worked with Tim Bradel before or something like that, that he knew Tim Bradel on a personal level and all sides had to agree to let him kind of sit on the case? And I cover a lot of cases, so granted, I don't remember if it was exactly this one, but seeing how the judge ruled on Thursday, letting Kelsey get her own place, move out from her parents' house, kind of like be an adult. Hi, Lauren. And also, letting her, so she gets to, he took away the restriction that Judge McCarthy-Nyman had about seeing her baby. He took away that restriction, but that doesn't mean she could see her baby, just means she can go back to family court and try to see her baby, which is a huge win for Kelsey all over. I mean, I fear a jury on this case because so many jurors side with police no matter what. And I think in this case, based on what we've seen with Massachusetts juries, they may side for Noonan. And so because it's a he said, she said case and it's so emotional, it's going to be hard to trust a jury. And typically it is the defendant's choice whether or not to have a bench trial. But the final decision is always up to the judge. And I think knowing Gubitosi, how he behaves in court, he may oppose it. And so would she really be able to have a bench trial in the end? I don't know. And would it force another judge to be assigned to the case if Gubitosi opposes it? So it's kind of risky.
Yeah.
But if it was me and it was Judge Karp, I would go with bench trial here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I feel very confident in the bench trial. Bokenbrek could go right ahead, sir.
Well, I have it kind of the opposite way because the way the statute is written, it's so overly broad that any brandishing, they'll say, well, she needs intent, but you can always say, well, why would she pull it out not to defend her daughter? So I think you know when you have a good defendant, because she would look good in front of a jury. She's a beautiful woman, a 4-month-old ripped out of her arms. Any mother on that panel would understand with the postpartum history. Sadly, we can't get into all the bad stuff that Justin has done, but I think a jury trial might be a good thing for her because of she has all of those factors into it as well.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. So many things that are going on right now. Lauren, I just want to get some of your thoughts on this as we welcome the Glare and Mullen Law and Lauren Katie to this fundraiser. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Mel. I think if it is Karp, I feel like that's a very good choice. But, there are concerns if that will be the case. And if something changes, then that's really terrifying.
Yep. There's a lot of background noise coming from somebody. I'm not sure who it is, but there's a lot of background noise there.
It was probably me.
All right. No worries. Lauren, please continue. Thank you so much. Yeah, Lori, it's you. Yeah.
Is it me? Okay.
Yeah, it's you. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, if it's for sure Karp, I feel like that's a great choice. He's shown a lot more empathy and wanting to actually ask questions that we've seen before in any judge, I think, in Massachusetts history that we've been following cases on. But there's always that chance that it can be switched to another judge. And I don't know, I haven't seen it in writing that he will have this case. And that terrifies me a little bit.
And intellectual curiosity too. Isn't that what Betterow always says? Does nobody have intellectual curiosity? This judge actually said from the bench, I think twice, I had some intellectual curiosity. So I went into the file and I read this, that, and the other thing. And he's really like, he's up to speed on it, I like that about him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just trying to figure out where that background noise. I'm not sure if the chat
Sounds
can
like
hear
a breather.
Yeah, I know. Where's
It's
that
a
noise
heavy
coming?
breather in Will's
Yeah.
house.
I don't think. I mean, hold on.
Is your dog in your house, in your room? Now we can hear him.
He froze. No,
Oh, did he free? No, he's still there.
he's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive. That noise
I'm muted, so the noise disappeared when I muted. Can't be.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're good to go now. All right. Technical difficulties seem to be over now. All right, great. All right. Will, this was Will, this was a huge
Clubber's not here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check my mic levels. My mic levels are I don't have anything going on back here.
I think it's the
As far as
chat.
I know.
It's fine again.
yeah.
Maybe it's just because StreamYard has to mix all our streams together. Maybe it takes a little while.
Right. Perfect. All right, we're good to go. So, Will, what were some of your thoughts about court today? Court this past week, as a lot of positive things happened for Kelsey. Two big things, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, I think at first, when the judge is asking a lot of questions, like people are quick to be like, oh my God, this judge, he's just so argumentative. He's already pushing back, blah, blah, blah. And I think that a lot of that is people just, trying to psychologically and, emotionally prepare themselves for the worst because there's been so much craziness that's happened. But at the end of the day, I took out of that, like, the judge was basically just trying to be as objective as possible and make the right decision, get as much information as he could before he made a decision. And it seems like he made the right decisions as far as, I mean, Kelsey gets a chance to see her baby now, and she gets to create a nest for her and her baby right now. And that's all we could ask for at the moment, considering all the circumstances.
Absolutely. Attorney Mark Bettero's in the house.
The mighty one.
The mighty ones in the house. They were packed.
Yeah,
Mark,
Molly,
thank you for being here.
how are you?
Doing awesome. Doing awesome today. Will, thank you so much. And then Mark, again, welcome back to the show. We're happy to have you here. And we're asking about the judge right now, about what we thought about the judge, and just what some of your thoughts about the judge this past week, Judge Carp.
I didn't watch the appearance, but I saw the feedback, and it seemed to be pretty overwhelmingly favorable. He certainly granted, or at least started the process of granting access for Kelsey and the daughter, daughter. Oh God, I don't even know.
Son.
Child. Let's be safe. Child, her son. So that's certainly a good thing, and it'll be interesting to see if they do a bench trial, or I don't know if you've been talking about this or not, but whether they do a jury trial or a bench trial. I'm generally, in most cases, a big proponent of bench trials. I've said that probably to you before over the years. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Lori Mullen, Attorney Lori Mullen's with us. Everyone at the bottom of your screen is actually an Attorney Mark Better, Attorney Lori Mullen, and Attorney Melanie Little. That's the attorney row right there.
It is the whole bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all the doofuses on top and the smart people on the bottom.
Well, you want a strong foundation for these things.
Right. It builds us up. Exactly.
The bottom of the pyramid, as it were.
Right.
Yeah.
We're exactly where we're all supposed to be.
Right.
Your top shelf there. You're good.
Oh, okay. That's one way to look at it.
Exactly. Well, Mazza, I had commented when you did your little poll that I was like 100% bench, and I'm kind of changing my mind.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not.
Wow.
Yes, I am. Because I don't trust the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That is the bottom line. When I went,
Why?
I know, crazy, right?
Nobody here is okay. You have to elaborate. How much time?
I know, right? So I have grave concerns about whether Judge Karp will be hearing this case. When I went back and listened, actually, I was listening on your stream, Melanie. I went back and listened to the first hearing, the first Karp hearing. Mm-hmm. Because I knew somewhere in there, I heard you saying earlier, Melanie, about, didn't he say something about he knew Bradel and this and that or whatever? No, what he said was, I know Dr. Zeisel. Oh. I've had a long relationship with Dr. Zeisel. Dr. Zeisel has testified on many of my cases in the past when I was a defense attorney. I haven't really seen him for about 6 or 7 years, but I'm assuming I don't think it's a problem, and I don't know if you think it's a problem. Well, of course, Attorney Bradel said, I don't have a problem with that, Judge. You know who didn't say anything? Gubitosi. Yes, Mr. Air Quotes. He didn't say anything one way or another. So that issue is still on the table. And it did seem like, Judge Karp had some deference towards Dr. Zeisel when he was there at that last hearing on behalf of Kelsey. And at that first hearing, that hearing was on February 27th. If you remember, Judge Karp said, I can't do anything with bail. It has to go back to the other judge. He wasn't really familiar with the recusal motion or anything like that. Then he goes back into chambers and he says, well, if I'm specifically assigned, at some point he said, well, if I was specifically assigned to this case, like, in Aiden's case, now he has a specific assignment for a judge in that case, then I probably could hear it. He goes back in chambers. We don't know what happens back there. He comes out And then all of a sudden he's like, I could make some modifications to this bail. Right? I can do a little bit something. We don't really know what happened back there. And I was thinking, oh, maybe that special assignment's coming down now, that the chief judge, Ricciuti, I think his name is going to actually, he went back, maybe got some clarification, was told, yes, this is your case. But what haven't we seen? We haven't seen any order like we had in Aiden's case, assigning this judge to this case. There is nothing out there that says that. So what's to prevent a bait and switch on this case?
Oh, boy,
If
wow.
you don't have a specific assignment to a judge, you can be totally moved to a different judge.
Is that the way Massachusetts works? Because that's so weird to me, because in New York, here, when you file your RJI in civil court, your judge is your judge through the end of the case. You know, that's so weird to me. Is that
not unless it's a specific
thing?
assignment in Mass? Not unless it's a specific assignment.
That's terrifying.
I don't know what the rule in Massachusetts is regarding waiver and using a judge instead of a jury. But in New York, in a criminal case, you can pick a jury and right up until the end say, I want a bench trial. I mean, you can literally switch in the, I mean, it never happens, not really, but you can do that. I don't know if they can do that there, but it's entirely, unless it's a, first degree murder case in which there has to be by law a jury in New York, you can pick a jury and decide throughout the middle of the case, you know what, I got the judge I wanted. I'm going to do that. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm not a criminal law attorney. I just pretend to be one, but I don't know. I looked for that, Mark, to see if there was any kind of provision about when you had to make that decision. But that does concern me. It really does, because it's almost like they're intentionally not assigning him. I really thought it was going to come down, because the last hearing too, which was this past week, again, I was watching Melanie's stream. I watched Baker's stream on it too. I watched both of them because I wanted to hear if there was any kind of leaning that the judge would come right out and say, yes, I'm going to be hearing this case. And he was very careful not to say that. So it makes me nervous. It really does make me a little nervous, because he definitely seems fair and unbiased. I think he would be a great choice for this. I think there's a lot of extraneous things that are going to come out that maybe a jury is going to have a hard time sifting through, where a judge would just know, that's nonsense and that doesn't really, affect anything. But if it's not going to be Karp, and he can't be guaranteed it's Karp. Now that said, it's not going to be McCarthy-Naiman. That's not going to happen, because that's going to open up the whole can of worms of let's get that recusal motion back on the list, because supposedly it was moot because she wasn't going to hear it. But Dr. Judge Drechsler was a real charmer. Now, wasn't he? I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be odd though that he's hearing motions in limine if he's not going to be the trial judge? Mark, in your opinion, like in your experience, rather?
Yeah, I mean, normally, again, all disclaimers apply. I deal with New York, and I don't know what I'm doing in Massachusetts. Apparently, I just bring my crayons and show up, and I go with it. But yes, all kidding aside. Certainly the normal practice is, you have an all-purpose, or what we would call an upfront judge, who would deal with some basic things, but they would defer any real trial type rulings, motions in limine, though, like trial specific, until it's basically in front of the trial judge. So yeah, I mean, the fact that this particular judge rolled up his sleeves and is in the weeds of all of these motion after motion, right before the trial is supposed to start, in most sane jurisdictions, which I guess the jury is out whether we're dealing with that here or not. Of course, that would be the judge, and there's only so many, I imagine, too, in that building. So I don't know, but on the other hand, she's in good position, I think, either way. I mean, I don't think she obviously has unbiased, good counsel. She has a lot of support. Case itself seems to have some issues, at least generally speaking. So, I mean, there's reason for optimism here either way.
Yeah.
For the attorneys on the panel, sorry. For the attorneys on the panel, is it something that Mr. Brado could request to have that in writing, or would that not look good? How does that work?
to say,
I
is
think
it
it
going
is odd.
is it going to be you, Judge? You pinky promise if we do it, it'll be you. I think that's a bad look.
Okay.
And
Okay.
showing your
Can't be
hand.
judge shopping.
Okay.
I mean, look, the reality is, depending on what the law is with waiver in Massachusetts, if you want to be safe, you go through, you pick a jury, and then at some point say, assuming you're allowed to there, we want a bench, depending on how jury selection goes.
Now, would there need to be a more solidified way, Lori, this question is for Lori, a more solidified way to secure Karp as the judge across the board, so there's no loopholes, there's no, hey, bait and switch, and all of a sudden it's, here's another judge that basically shares the ideology of anti-Kelsey Fitzsimmons, you know, and she has to now face a bench trial under a set of circumstances that are unfair. Essentially, you're saying that there's a path, of course, that would be ironclad to prevent all that, just to assure our viewers that was a pretty intense, you know, something up earth there today on this show. That was like, well, I hadn't thought about that. Now that I hear that, I'm like, okay, wow, that's intense.
Well, it is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Mazza.
Yeah.
So we always have to keep that in mind. There have been a lot of really strange things happen in this case. Very, very, very strange things. So,
I mean, the trial is a week from tomorrow, so it's going to have to, if it is required that they've specially assigned a judge, that order is going to have to come down in the next couple of days, I would think, right?
You would think. I was shocked that it didn't come after February 27th. I kept checking the docket because I really thought he went back in and he was like, I can't deal with bail. That has to go back to the original judge. And he went back and then came out and did some bail things. And I kept saying he's gonna get specifically assigned, because he used those words at that hearing. He said, unless I'm specially assigned. And then he went back in chambers and then came back out. And I kept saying, oh, I guess he's going to get specially assigned. He hasn't been. And if you remember, you know, even when Tim filed the motion to recuse, the decision came down from that Chief Ricciuti, the judge there. And he was very, a little bit cocky in the way he wrote that. It was kind of like, oh, you just assumed she was specifically assigned and your motion was incorrect. Okay, well, that scares me. That kind of makes me a little nervous about him. I mean, you know, so are we assuming that Karp is specifically assigned and we are incorrect? I mean, that's exactly how he wrote it in the order about the recusal motion, and by deeming it moot and saying, no, she's not going to be that because you made a mistake, Attorney Bradel. She is not specifically assigned. Well, guess who else isn't specifically assigned?
Yeah.
I don't know how another judge is starting a trial in a week with no familiarity with all these motions, determine the judge hearing it. I mean, there's a matter of just practicality here. And if the trial is really starting in a week, I mean, not that a judge has to be literally versed in everything, but it's certainly not good not to be. And it just seems to me practically, isn't this the judge?
But also, if they're looking at, what did he say, 3 to 4 days of picking a jury?
Yeah.
He must already be deep enough into it to know, okay, there's going to be some problems because they are locally connected and stuff like that as well. And that's...
Well, yeah. I mean, if he's contemplating jury selection and how long it would take, I mean, to me, I read that as I'm envisioning presiding over this, and you know the motions filing back and forth better than me. But didn't they also submit their questionnaires and sample questions?
Yes.
I mean, the kind of thing that you do with a trial judge, not a general all-purpose judge who's going to rule on what's appropriate for jury selection and then say, oh, look at that, I got to go. Let's wheel out to another judge. That just doesn't seem to make any sense to me.
It's a courthouse, not a casino, right? We shouldn't be spinning the wheel the day of trial to find out who our judge is going to be. Okay, let's see who it's going to be. Spin the wheel.
Well, and it also seems to be in a violation of Kelsey Fitzsimmons' right to a fair trial, as fair as possible, right? I mean, just to have these short notice changes that are totally impractical, they're definitely not in the interest of justice in her favor. So
I mean, you have a right to a fair judge, but not a specific judge. I mean, I don't think there'd be any.
Yeah, you can't like put in a request for a judge either, right? Like
that's the problem.
Legal argument if you get if they want a bench trial and then get thrown to another judge, I mean, you can bitch, moan, complain, but you're not going to win in a legal sense by saying you're violating my right to a fair trial unless you show that the judge who hears the case is unfair.
But he also said, I'm going to go back and write some questions a little bit more, less specific. So he's already prepping all of the questionnaires and stuff. So it's probably just in the wording, and he can't say anything definitive, but he sounded like he was ready to go as well. It didn't sound like he was like, yeah, maybe I'll have it, maybe I don't. He sounded really because the way he talked about the questionnaire to me seemed like he already had more or less his questionnaire set up and ready to go to them as well.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to be clear though, Baker, I don't think this judge thinks he's not hearing the case. No. If it came down, I don't think it would be because it was Judge Karp's decision. But this Judge Ricciuti, who is the main judge in that, I'm just saying I've been practicing law for a long time in this Commonwealth, and there is a thin black line, and a lot of the judiciary in that county may think that Judge Kathleen McCarthy-Naiman was wronged. They think she was a victim of some of this stuff. I'm just saying.
I just gonna say real quick, I just can't be that cynical on this issue that if a judge is literally got his fingers in the pie on how we're going to handle voir dire, how we're going to do this, I'm ruling on very trial specific motions, and then all of a sudden on game day, out comes the manager and they go to the bullpen and say, you need to beat it, we're throwing this person in. I mean, I think that's the kind of thing that leads the public to bring out pitchforks and
right.
protests. And I just.
That's why I'm bringing it up, Mark. That's why I'm bringing it up. We are watching. Everyone is watching.
Can't be that great. I mean, it may just very well be this judge is starting a trial next week, and it's as simple as that. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, even her charges, she's not looking at jail time. She's already, I mean, worst case scenario, time served, probation, right? So technically, right. Technically. I mean, like if we're, trying to, predict here what the worst could possibly be based on the law. But how overall will this affect Kelsey if she just gets probation? Is this going to be, will that conviction, I'm moving now into family law, will that conviction really work that bad against her when it comes to trying to get custody of her child?
I think it's a lot more than that, though. That goes against her for future job references and everything. And you don't want a conviction if you don't have to have one.
Well, no. Of course, we want her to be acquitted of this because obviously there's no evidence to actually. It's crazy that they're even moving forward with it. We're all in agreement on that, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, like how bad could this be for her with family court?
I've had people with a lot worse stuff get parenting time and get shared custody. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, they state in the latest latest motion to the judge that the only ones who can be denied is murder. People who have been convicted of murder is the only ones who automatically get denied family time. So I don't think it'll be a big problem. And it's kind of like with Karen Reed that the sentencing guidelines, no matter how people think that the system is rotten, the judges normally stick with the sentencing guidelines, and she would get probation on this one. So it's not going to be the 5 years that people are, because as we all know, our good friends from the Karen Reed case has now jumped on we hate Kelsey Fitzsimmons because Mark Bradel is her lawyer. And they're sitting there, she's getting 3 to 5 years in prison. Have you ever watched a trial?
I don't
ever.
Prison's the issue though for her. I mean, again, looking at her long-term goal, it's not just visitation. I mean, I'm assuming she wants custody of her child. She's a mother.
Filed a petition for shared physical custody.
Right. And, down the line, you'd think she's going to want, primary custody, and I'll defer to the family lawyer here. But I mean, this whole situation that she's been put in, even if she's acquitted or doesn't get any jail time or anything like that, I mean, they've put her in a terrible case. I mean, if she has to testify that I pointed a gun at my head, because something terrible happened, and that's a long time ago, and I'm sure by the time they get to family court or whatever they call it in Massachusetts, there would be all kinds of psychiatric experts who would say she's doing so much better and this and fine, she's no risk. But the mere fact that she has to defend herself in a criminal case and her defense is, I pointed a gun at my head, they've really put her in a bad spot. But I mean, clearly to Will's question or point, the best thing that could happen is she get acquitted outright, and from there.
But the important thing, though, is in the family court case, there's this other person, and it's called Bustin' Justin. And he is the father of the child. And there are some substantial allegations which would lead one to believe that child is not better off with dad, and that all needs to be vetted, too. So it's not like Kelsey in a vacuum. It's not like Kelsey has a criminal record. Kelsey put a gun to her head. If you are to believe even half of what Kelsey put in her affidavit in the filing for probate and family court, we got a serious problem on our hands with Mr. Elaine and what he's got going on. And he's the custodial parent at this point.
Right. And again, in family court, what's in the best interest of the child trumps everything and nothing else matters. And you'd hate to see a situation where family court judge says, well, I'm concerned about, the things that she did that led to the criminal charges. The father, as you just pointed out, I mean, he's got issues up the wazoo, it appears. You'd hate to be in a situation where, option 3 comes into play. Maybe it's in the interest of the child temporarily to go to someone else altogether.
Yeah. And this is bad too, because, everyone's cheering about Justin being suspended from his job when the fact of the matter is he's responsible for the child's health insurance right now under the stipulation, right? Kelsey, I don't know what her status is with North Andover PD, but now you've got 2 parents who are unemployed. And that's my fear too. Are they going to put this child in state custody? Because that's really the best option at this point. And that's frightening because we see what's happening with the grandparent visitation request, right? And I hear that grandparents' rights are not really a thing in Massachusetts, Lori. Maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Crazy.
Grandparent rights aren't really a thing anywhere. Okay. So the Supreme Court basically came down with a decision many, many years ago, about probably like 15 years ago now, that said the parents have an absolute right to determine whether who their children have to spend time with. So you have to have only in extreme circumstances where there's a strong relationship. And you see it more in situations where like you have grandparents who have basically been raising children because maybe somebody's in jail or one of the parents is deceased. Then you really have a best interest of the child problem if you're trying to remove them from the grandparents and not give the grandparents rights. But this is a completely different situation. If neither Kelsey nor Justin really should have custody, probably one set of the grandparents, and I don't see why it shouldn't be Kelsey's parents more than Justin's parents, would go in and apply for guardianship. Guardianship is completely different than grandparent visitation. That's a whole different ball of wax. Grandparent visitation implies that there is a parent stopping the grandparents from seeing the child, and that parent has custody, and that parent is a good and loving and capable parent to say, I don't want my children spending time with those grandparents. But if we have 2 parents that really shouldn't be parenting the child, now we go into the other type of case, which would be a guardianship type of case. And, I could see I honestly think that, and Kelsey herself is looking for co-parenting. She's not saying Justin can't see this child, but, this is what happens when you do have a 1-parent system. You need 2 parents having eyes on that child. You need, sets of grandparents having eyes on that child. To just have him isolated away with one family isn't really the healthy way to do it for him or for, the system in general to just allow that because he's isolated.
I think that's one of the dangers. Okay, Lauren.
No, just to say the more people to love that child is what's beneficial. So it is
Absolutely.
such a disservice that they are, not allowing the grandparents to see him. So I just echo that.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the dangers of how this RO, and this is a great comment here. Kelsey would not be in the situation if he had not lied to get an RO to begin with. And I think that's one of the things that's troublesome here, is that this thing is trying to go to the family and probate court level. But because that RO was served and all hell broke loose when that was served, it's put everybody in an unforeseen circumstance, which now has Kelsey Fitzsimmons and her defense team, her own lawyer, Tim Bradel, basically now placing Justin in a situation where he's suspended from his job and could lose his job too, because if they had just gone through the normal process to begin with and not go through this RO process, which was basically low down and dirty, a lot of this could have all been prevented from the jump. And that's, again, the importance of just going through the system properly and not trying to play around with the system, because there's an old saying. It's basically, the acronym is FAFO. If you don't know what it means, you can look it up on Urban Dictionary. But that's basically what happened here. Is he's, based on this, he had his moment where he got Kelsey. He got the kid away from Kelsey. Things went really bad for Kelsey. She got shot. She went to jail. But now look at him now. Now he's in a situation where now his job's on the line. He could lose his job. And now this is called biting off more than you can chew. Whereas if this whole thing had gone through the normal process to begin with, Kelsey would be in a better situation. And while we're not a fan of the guy, so would he. So it's just, this is a very bad situation that went way further than it should have been. It should have been a simple child custody battle to begin with. And as a result of what they did to Kelsey Fitzsimmons, look how this whole thing's evolved now. It's turned into a situation where everybody's got wounds now, typically in a legal sense.
But with the RO, there's no danger to the child mentioned anywhere. Wouldn't that be a plus for her in probate court? Because it's only against him. And that's when I read it, I thought, they keep talking about how he had to get the child away because he was afraid, but it's not mentioned in the RO other than she punched her stomach while pregnant.
But the RO is specifically against both Justin and the baby. The baby is noted on the actual restraining order.
Yeah,
it's a keep away order from both Justin.
Yeah, but there's no threats against the baby mentioned in it.
You're right. More... and they haven't had a hearing on the RO. That hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, I love the argument. Well, she hasn't even sought to go to probate. No, she wasn't allowed to go to probate.
Can you imagine that? That was the dumbest argument.
That's the worst thing about this situation, is anything that Kelsey does say under oath in probate court could be used potentially against her in the criminal matter. Correct. Which is what has offset a lot of this. So they've kind of been forced to prolong this whole family probate situation. And, that's time that Kelsey's never going to get back. It's upsetting.
Right. Well, and not to mention that in 3 separate bail condition orders by Judge Kathleen McCarthy-Naiman, she specifically put down that Kelsey shall not have contact with her son. And she made 3 different orders at different times with different circumstances. And every single one of them, she added that as another layer to the bail conditions. Completely unjustified. She had no right making any kind of judgments relative to things that are generally heard in probate and family court. But she added that on, and that's what made it so difficult. And for people that are like, well, Attorney Bradel could have gone in and had that removed. Really? Because she was so amenable to having things changed now, wasn't she? You had to get a little nervous when your client gets locked up just because you asked for a modification on a bail condition. So I don't think he was really too anxious to be running back in there. But 3 times she put that as a condition. Now, this judge on his own, even though he says he couldn't change the bail conditions, took that provision out. So in like one hearing, he said, yeah, I'm removing that provision. So, and he did make a little speech about how, if he was Judge Kathleen McCarthy-Naiman at the time, he would have done all the same things that she did. And then he went about and he changed all of them. So that's okay. I mean, he can make the disclaimer. It's fine. But so now that's now allowed. And immediately then, now Attorney Hess Kelsey's family court attorney, Julie Hess, has filed the motion. It is supposed to be heard in the beginning of April. Hopefully the trial will be behind her, regardless of the outcome of the trial will be behind her. And Judge Black, who seems like a very measured, and from everything I've heard through different circles, a very fair, unbiased judge who's been a family court judge for a long time, understands how the procedures work and understands best interests of the child standards. She'll hear that and she'll start allowing some parenting time. And it, might be gradual at first, but I do think Kelsey's on the road to regaining custody. I really do.
I agree. I agree strongly, very strongly. In fact, I think this whole thing, to get the sea starting to part here, as far as I'm concerned, it was an elongated battle for a long, long time. Now you're starting to see the cracks and the dents happen where this thing's starting to open up now. And it's unfortunately, it's a long battle. It goes on a lot longer than it needs to, but that's really positive right now. So I'm happy about that.
Which
happy.
is why she needs our support.
Yes.
I mean, family court lawyers are expensive, man. I'm telling you, they are expensive.
Hey, we have to eat too. It's a long process. You are talking, you're talking about a 1-year-old child. Guess what? And things haven't been going along famously, fabulously, however you want to put it. So it's likely she's gonna be in family court for a while. And we don't just get rid of things. We're like, we're gonna enter this order, and then we're gonna have a review in a few months, and then we'll come back again, and let's have another review in another few months. And if they appoint guardian ad litems and things like that, those things all cost money as well. So and she hasn't even gotten through her trial. And if you look at what Attorney Bradel has had to do in this case, I mean, he's had 2 SJC appeals, and for the lawyers in the room, this is no small thing. I mean, the amount of work that Tim has put into this case already before the trial even starts is astounding. So she definitely needs help. She definitely needs help.
And Tim is just so awesome. He's so passionate.
He really is.
Like, it's just always, every time I see him argue, I'm always excited. I always get excited.
Yeah. He kind of lost it a little bit that last hearing. You could tell. He was like almost like choking up. He was pissed off.
Yeah.
But that's good. I
And
mean, the jury's going to see that. They're going to be able to see how genuine and how much he cares about it. You can tell when an attorney isn't invested. It doesn't come off as good. And when someone really cares, people react to that. So I think he is just what Kelsey needs. And I'm so happy that he
and it doesn't come off like it's a show either. Like he's being, for the sake of theatrics, and, it's just, he gets to a point where he's just like, all right. And then you just all right, here we go, go ahead, Tim, can't wait.
I can assure you he cares a lot, just in conversations I've had that I won't share, obviously, just general ones, not about the nuts and bolts of the case, of which I don't know that much, to be candid. But no, he cares a lot, and I'm sure that shows in the court appearances. It's a big one.
He's very passionate about the Constitution. I can tell you that.
The first conversation I ever had with him in person, it was like we were like 2 Star Wars geeks, but talking about freedom of speech. Like there was that level of excitement, and like we just met. It was really cool. Yeah, it was right in front of the courthouse too.
Wait till he starts forwarding you like 7 articles a week about First Amendment.
I love it.
What do you mean? You have other clients, Mark?
Cut it down to 3.
And looking back at things that Tim has filed just in regards to Kelsey, one of the things that stands out to me is the footnote in one of his very first motions, in which he said it's completely despicable that the state can rip a breastfeeding child away from his mother without that mother having an opportunity to be heard in court. Just the very fact that can be done here is such an atrocity. And you could just see that passion coming right up through the pores of the page and in his writing. He's just, his heart is in everything he does. I will always admire that about him.
Somebody, I just looked at the chat and reminded me, I don't usually do that, but my eyes were just steering it that way, that I actually had dinner with Tim the night that Kelsey went to jail, I guess, in this ridiculous bail hearing. This must have been, I'm assuming, in September or whenever we were out there for, another client who shall not be named had an appearance the next day thereabouts. And, he was, obviously, lawyers generally don't get emotionally involved. You can't, but you can still get very angry, very motivated, very passionate. And there's just no question that this is a big, big deal for him. And as a lawyer, you always want to get cases where you just care about the principles at issue, the people at issue, and, you're fighting the system. And, that's what lawyers love to do. So no question, he's all in on this for sure.
Yeah, I like that. That was mentioned in the comments too, the way you looked at Kelsey. You had that moment with Kelsey in court this past week where, Kelsey had the mixed emotions. There was the nerves early on, or some degree of, the stoicness. And then there was the laughter. It was great to see her laughing. Of course, the tears of joy as well. So it was really great. This is definitely an elongated process. This woman's been through absolute hell, and the system has failed her throughout this process. But the light's starting to shine, which I'm extremely happy about. But again, it's just nice to feel like this week it felt like a big win. That's the equivalent in football, Mark, the 2 touchdowns. Me and Nurse Kim were talking about the 28-3 Patriots comeback. This is what this feels like. Those touchdowns are starting to come now. Those wins are starting to come. Kathleen McCarthy-Naiman's not in the way. And hey, if she was still the judge right now, I don't think things would have gone as positively, because that judge was in the way. She was an absolute monstrosity in this entire case, and it has made things a lot worse for Kelsey than they really needed to be. And we all celebrated the day she was gone, because at this point, Carp's been a lot more favorable. She now has the right to live like a normal human being. If she wants to move out of her parents' house and move into a house of her own, guess what? She now has that freedom, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm very, very stoked this week, to say the least.
If you're comparing this to the Patriots-Falcons fiasco, all I would say and caution is that you're at the level with what happened last week, which was really good and nice to see. But that's like the Hightower strip sack fumble recovery, if you recall, where chips lining up, momentum was building, but there's a long way to go. Not a shred of evidence has been presented in court. Not a single witness has testified. Right. So, nothing should be taken for granted, but clearly all of the setbacks and the idea of what led her to be incarcerated for, what was it? How many months? A lot of
103 days.
103 days over a ticky-tack alleged non-compliance that was in the form of being brought to the attention of a judge, to have it modified and having that result in, well, I'll do you one better. I'll just throw you in jail instead of just releasing it. I've never seen anything like that. That was one of the most just unjust things, just even observing, not being involved in, that I've seen in a courtroom. And, I know this is a fundraiser. People are hopefully donating, but if you need a motivation to raise money, never forget that was just an abomination, irrespective of what the evidence is or is not related to the criminal proof that you'll hear about in a week or so. But what they did to her in that situation was just absolutely disgraceful.
Yes, 100%. We have a massive donation that came in too. Thank you for that donation. Thank you to everybody for donating. Broken Baker, go right ahead, sir. Thank you.
Especially because there was no one asking for her to be sent to prison. And Noonan, who went out and said, no, I'm going to go and investigate this case as a judge. And then I really love Massachusetts, because we just play that little 3 Monty game. We just switch the judge, and then it doesn't matter that
what would you do without us?
it's just I still have Florida, I still have Utah, so America still is a crazy place, and I still love you for it. But
it may be as it relates to this case, but I don't know if somebody's going to file a judicial complaint. That the judicial conduct, certainly the allegations there are egregious. You can't launch your own investigation and have this ex parte communication and then bring it up and hold it against this guy's credibility because you did your own, fact-finding mission without even telling the attorneys. And then to your point, you took a defense motion for modification and turned it into incarceration, as opposed to just, no, I'm going to deny your motion, have to do what you have to do, and then refuse to revisit that, when everybody tried to come back, and maybe everybody takes a breath a week or two later, let's be reasonable. And instead she doubled down, tripled down. It just pure insanity.
She did. And then she also got validation from the SJC twice, which did not help one little bit.
No.
Especially because the parole officer said, no, it's fine. I have no problem with it. No problem at all. And they say, no, throw her in prison. And it's just, it's about to get at 10 o'clock. So I'll be jumping off, Martha. Thank you so much for allowing me. And always remember, if we're going to talk comebacks, fourth quarter in the 2008 Super Bowl is still the greatest comeback ever.
I think you need to go, you said, right? Goodbye.
Bye, Baker.
You live in New York.
Bye,
You should love that.
Baker.
Mark, I think he meant the Steelers against the Cardinals. Yeah.
Everyone, thank you so much for all the support you give. And thank you so much in chat. 110,000 is amazing that Martha and Lauren has raised that over the last 13 weeks.
It's wild. Yeah.
This is the best part of being a YouTuber. We get all the flash on screen, but they are the people who are really doing all the hard work. Thank you all so much, and have a wonderful Sunday evening.
Good night,
Baker.
Later, Baker.
Baker.
Our man from Denmark. Thank you so much, Broken Baker. Yeah, he's a great man. And just this whole thing is now growing internationally. It's growing nationally. We have a lot of viewers from all over the country that are tuning in. And I think that's what the importance of all of this is that, today we're bringing in many people from many different channels, attorneys from multiple states. And this story is starting to spread. It's becoming a much bigger story. And that's what it's all about is making these stories known, getting them out there, and finding people like Kelsey Fitzsimmons that shouldn't be in a situation like this. With the internet, if the internet never existed, who knows where Karen Reed would be financially? Because of the internet, we have this power to bring people together, all of us come together, raise awareness, raise funds, get this education out there with great attorneys, 3 of them on our shows. We even have the guy from the Blair Institute of Law and stuff on our show as well. We got private investigator Lauren Katie. This is just great. Of course, myself and Brett Happens, but they're law tubers. But this is fantastic. I'm happy about this. Like I said this week, I've been praying for the longest time that this story would explode, and it has been upticking slowly. But the past 2 to 3 weeks, the last time I started a fundraiser 12, it was about $82,000 on the GiveSendGo. In a matter of 2 weeks, it's already over $111,000. This has been an absolute explosion. And that tells you what, security footage is worth, Will. You know what I mean? Because once that security footage of Justin going in that house came out, those donations are rolling ever since, man.
Right. And I do want to point out that security footage came after that February 27th hearing, when probably about 2 weeks prior to that, the certificate of compliance that all discovery had been disclosed was already filed with Attorney Bradel. So,
you know what else I wanted to point out too is that all of their surveillance footage of Justin smoking whatever he was smoking outside in the backyard 240 times, and how the Commonwealth had the entire system.
They had it.
They have had that surveillance video since this case began. Like the day they seized that system was, I think, the day of the shooting, right? June 30th.
Yes.
So it must have been after that Kelsey's dad installed new cameras that Justin was not aware of when he broke the door down, right? And then tore out the system and the modem and the alarm, allegedly, because he says he didn't do anything wrong, and the Commonwealth agrees that he didn't do anything wrong, even though it's on camera. And so the Commonwealth has been aware of all of this, and they just got the system back, and that's when they were able to get these clips of Justin smoking whatever he was smoking. And so it wasn't a surprise to the Commonwealth. This was just discovered by the defense when they were able to review all of the surveillance footage that they just got back.
Melanie, I don't know if you covered this or not. I haven't watched any of this stuff in the last couple of weeks, but did you cover the recent spate of motions that included what I described publicly as probably the single most absurd prosecution motion I'd ever seen in my life, where they filed a motion in limine about the break-in and whatnot, and basically sought a preemptive ruling, a decree, if you will. Thou shalt not even suggest to the jury that this could possibly be perceived as a benefit given, or in his own subjective mind that he expected it, which of course would give him potential bias or motive to favor the prosecution, that they literally wanted a ruling that we can't even talk about this. I mean, that's just.
Oh, it gets worse, because in open court, Gubitosi said, well, we're not going to charge him. We are not going to charge him. And, Judge, I mean, let's face it, he's not a precipient witness. And even if he does get on the stand and take the fifth, we'll immunize him.
Okay. Well,
That's
those
how
are
far they went.
Oh, hello. Those
We'll
are
give him immunity.
Immunity. I love that.
we're not going to charge him. Allegedly, by some people would believe he committed a crime. By definition, that is a possible benefit that he could have received. If they immunize him, that is an absolute benefit. We're not going to do anything. And then it's as if they don't understand the whole concept of it. It's also could be subjectively from the man's viewpoint that he has an expectation that I received the benefit or will, that even if they haven't promised me anything, in my mind, I know I did something I shouldn't have done and they're not going to do it. And I expected them to do that, also would give him a motive to fabricate. I mean, you watch this stuff and it's always happening. I mean, I assume it happens other places too. We just seem to focus on all these Massachusetts cases, but I mean,
You're welcome.
It's culture shock to watch a motion like that with a straight face be filed to say, literally, you can't even bring this up. You can't, I mean, the jury gets to decide the facts, not the prosecutor. I mean, that's kind of like due process 101. And, there are these pesky little things that are called, Supreme Court rulings on the right and due process about impeaching for specific bias. And there's this funny concept in a trial. The defense argues it and the prosecution can oppose it. And they argue it in front of a jury, and then a jury decides to accept or reject it. That's kind of how a trial works. And, but what they're trying to do is say, never mind the man behind the curtain. Don't even allow them to ask, because we say it's not a benefit. We promise. It's just, you don't know what you're watching here.
I also loved that they tried to explain away some of Justin's alleged actions with things like bank statements, but some of the other alleged actions, they didn't bring it back up, like stealing Kelsey's laptop and connecting to the Braceland 4 Wi-Fi, which clearly was Justin's mother's Wi-Fi, which means at some point that laptop was taken out of Kelsey's home and then we're assuming placed back into Kelsey's home. They didn't even address it a single time in open court or in their filings.
I know this one. I think so. Like, I don't think I remember talking about this. My chat got really mad at me about it, actually. Because I was talking about how why they're not going to go after Justin. I was just speculating why they're not actually going to prosecute Justin on this stuff. And it just feels like they just don't feel confident. It's simply that they don't feel confident that they could get 12 jurors to convict on this stuff. I mean, there's the bank accounts were in both their names. The check was supposedly according to him, but I'm saying, like, that's reasonable doubt, is it not? I mean,
but
it's
how he got it.
It's the access. Even if it's a joint account, if he logged in to her version of the account and hacked it, there's a lot of information about him getting passwords. There's a digital trail, so to speak, of all.
And I'm not saying it's not shady. It just feels like it's not enough that they feel like they're going to go after somebody for it.
Yeah, but to say we're not going to go after him, and then to say we're going to offer him immunity, but like to Mark's point, and we're going to offer him immunity, but that's not a reward. That's not, we just don't think there's anything there. I mean, come on.
Rational.
Yeah.
All they want about, we don't think it's a great case. It's not a provable case. None of that matters as the issue relates to the jury's right to determine whether this witness has a motive or bias to favor the prosecution in his mind as to a reason to testify favorably for them and against her. And if he's running around the house and diddling with her stuff and doing this and doing that, they can argue to the cows come home that that's not a crime, that's fine. But in America, if there's a good faith basis for the defense to say he's committing acts he shouldn't be doing, and they're looking another way, in his mind, is he aware of that, and does he expect treatment from them so he'll help them by testifying favorably for them? So whether they charge him or not doesn't matter. I mean, they have a right to attack his credibility and show his specific bias against her in this case.
Yeah, it almost works better for Kelsey in a way. It almost works better for her because they're showing, like, look at this, like that there's all this favoritism that's being shown to this guy. And
what's supposed to happen is this, and this is why the prosecution is just, it's weak and it's pathetic. What they're supposed to do is put it all out there and then look at the jury and say, this is nonsense. That's their argument. There's no benefit here. He didn't commit a crime. There's not, whatever, make the argument. What you don't do is go to the judge 2 weeks before the trial and say, don't you dare even allow them to bring this up, because we pinky promised nothing happened here. And they're trying to put themselves in the role of fact finder, which is exclusively the role of the jury. And it's ridiculous to file a motion like that.
And it's important to note that in open court, Gubitosi said they've never even spoken to Justin. They've never interviewed him. They've never taken a statement from him, which is wild to say, we'll just immunize him when they've never spoken to him at all. And on that note, I have to jump because I have to go to dinner. But
all right,
there's 1,400 people in the chat right now. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. And it's because of you that Kelsey's fund is up over $100,000. I first started covering this case 11 days after Kelsey was shot, and I was so outraged by it that I haven't shut up about it since. And I think when the GiveSendGo started, and the first time I ever publicized it, it was at something like $1,800. So to think that you guys are so generous and care so much about Kelsey, that you have grown this, and Mazza, thanks to you and this is the 13th, lucky 13th fundraiser. Let's make it the biggest one, you guys. Let's do it. Buy the popcorn. If everyone donated $10 right now, think of how much money that would mean for Kelsey. That's like 2 drinks at Dunkin'. Okay, we can do it. You can do it. I know you can do it. Thank you so much for having me, Mazza.
Melanie, thanks for being here.
Thank you,
Nice
Mel.
to meet you,
We love
Lori
you.
and Britt and the rest of you, my
Great
friends
meeting
here. I love you guys. Peace.
homie.
thank you, Melody.
Love you, Mel.
Something was just said I didn't even know, and
He's
this
awesome.
is crazy. Again, they are adamantly indicating that he didn't commit a crime, and that's fine. I don't care whether they charge him or not. I care about the defense's right to expose this and make an argument. But they've never even interviewed this man,
No.
which shows a lack of intellectual curiosity in what's happening in the trial. But at the same time, we've never interviewed him. But if this is going to come up, we'll just immunize him. We're just throwing immunity out, like
Right, without even any effort to collect the facts.
we've got the immunity gun out and we're just blasting immunity.
Oh, and we're conflicting.
We're Oprah Winfreying immunity. Look under your seat. You've got immunity. You've got immunity. You've got
The
immunity.
prosecutor put that right on the record. He said,
Wow.
I haven't even spoken to this guy, you know?
I mean, all kidding aside, what is wrong with these people? I mean, where is the intellectual curiosity in finding out what happened and at least having concerns about what led him to start this process? Now, that may literally have nothing to do with whether she pointed a gun at a cop or not and all of that. But how are they not intellectually interested in how the hell did this start? And is this guy selling us a bill of goods or not? And we don't care. But if it's going to harm our case, we'll just throw immunity without even speaking to him.
Yep,
Well,
you nailed it.
I have a question. So in theory, could a good litigator argue to the point, I mean, she's in mama bear mode. Think about the situation, because this is where I just went full support for Kelsey, because I just went like, okay, well, let's say she did point the gun at Noonan. You know what I'm saying? Like, technically, yes, she committed the crime, but are you really going to get 12 jurors to convict her? In theory, couldn't a good litigator make the argument that she's in full mama bear mode? They didn't show up with a social worker or anybody representing the child himself. And just men with guns showed up at her door and took her baby out of her arms and stripped her life away right in an instant. She is recovering from postpartum depression. is it so not understandable that she could, be in protective mode? We don't know what happened.
You factor,
and that,
you factor what you just said in, which is something that a jury can do. I mean, jury can do whatever they want. The jury is going to know this. They're going to know that the defendant is the one who got shot in the chest and almost died. They're going to know that, she is a young mother. And they know a lot of things. I mean, people, it's in the news and online, and it is what it is. They're going to know all of these things. And, the concern I would have if I were the prosecutor is saying that jurors don't look at me and say, why are we taking essentially a child away from a young mother who was shot, almost died, was shot by her own police department because of a complaint allegedly had contained some false information. Don't need to get into that, from her ex-boyfriend. And what you're asking us to do is convict her of the crime. I mean, that's just, some of this is common sense. Some of this is a little bit of nullification, jury nullification that is a component of this. I mean, very little of it makes sense. And the other thing that I would expect any defense would argue here is that anytime that there's a police shooting, and I mean the shooting police officer, the shit hits the fan. Usually going to have to be a huge investigation. It gets out of control. And I'm sure the argument is going to be, the narrative had to be, she pointed at me, because if that's true, and at the time that argument comes out, for all they know, she's likely, meaning possibly going to die, right? I mean, she got hit pretty bad. If she dies in that horrible incident, the only investigation that's going to happen is whether it was a good shooting by the shooting officer,
right?
Whether he's in trouble. And if the argument is, well, she pointed at me, and if that's a credible argument, then that's a good shooting, whether, you like it or not. I mean, you can't point a gun directly at a police officer. It doesn't mean she necessarily committed a crime under your back pattern. The problem is,
I personally believe her. I think, I'm just saying, in theory,
the problem the prosecution is going to have is, if her whole world comes crashing down in those few minutes where they show up with the restraining order, we're going to take the child, we're going to do this. You've had postpartum depression, you've already been on, and you just see your life before you, and I can't deal with this anymore. Most people, because jurors are allowed to use common sense, to go along with considering evidence. What's more likely at that point? I'm going to unload and murder a brother officer of the same department, or I'm gonna, point it at my head because I can't deal with this anymore.
Right.
Not to mention
that
the bullet hit Kelsey's chest too. Just as far as physics goes.
Well,
I find it hard to believe that a bullet hitting Kelsey's chest can happen if she's got both arms like this and is aiming a gun at somebody else.
I mean, the prosecution, of course, is going to argue, why would this cop make it up? Meaning, why would he say this? Now, again, he could have screwed up. He could have made a mistake. And, oh, my God, now they're going to investigate me. So the story becomes, she pointed at me. Therefore, it's a good shooting. Because if that's a credible story, it is a good shooting, even if he killed her. Even if he aimed center mass, which he apparently did, because he hit her, in the chest from however many feet away. But
I don't think he was trying to kill her. I have a pretty specific theory.
But the point is, it's okay legally if he was, if you believe the first part of his story, which is she pointed right at me. I mean,
right.
That's what, you can't expect an officer at that point. I'm going to aim for a leg, or I'm going to, at that point, for me. I mean, they're trained center mass if you're using deadly force against me. But the problem is, all of these scenarios could make sense. And when you start saying, could be this, could be that, maybe this, in that situation, the party that loses generally is the party with the burden of proof, which is the prosecution, and, good luck.
Right.
And the point that, to Mark's point, and North Andover can't get around the fact that they didn't do a full investigation on this shooting. They never interviewed Kelsey. They only interviewed Noonan and the other officers. So how in the world is that a full investigation?
Right.
I guess the question I would ask is, frankly, to the extent if there was no investigation, that's outrageous. But North Andover shouldn't have been doing anything. They are on both ends of this shooting equation. I mean, if ever there is an investigative conflict, I mean, you have the North Andover police charging a North Andover police officer with a crime who was almost shot to death by a North Andover police officer. I don't know, maybe like Attorney General, someone else, like move it away. Doesn't make any sense. And somebody mentioned body cameras. If I'm the defense, I am trying to argue how wouldn't it be great if there were I mean, the judge probably shut this down in 10 seconds, but can you imagine being a jury and realizing there's no body camera, other departments have it, and if there was a body camera in this case, it would be on, his name is Noonan, it would be on his chest, literally, it would be pointing directly at her. I mean, you would literally see and hear everything. And if the jury finds out that they could have had body cameras, they exist, and they didn't, and that could have told us everything, that's going to be held against the prosecution, because again, now we're being asked to speculate and hold her in judgment when you yahoos are too cheap or stupid or whatnot to get body cameras, which, by the way, are not just designed to protect the citizenry, it's to protect the police.
Protect the cops.
That is correct.
Accused.
And
Correct.
Mr. Betterow, they still to this day do not have body cameras, even after this incident.
That a judge will never let in. But I mean, certainly on the cross-examination of the cop, I mean, are you familiar with body camera? Do you have it? You know, no. I mean, I don't know how you keep that out. At least, you know, those few questions. They're not going to let them go down the argument path that I'm kind of making now. But if jury is aware of that, and they're going to say, you're asking me to say, you know, pick a side, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, could be this, could be that. you yahoos don't even have body cameras because you're just too incompetent. That's not good.
You know, and I'm almost suspicious. I hate to say this. I don't want to in any way make a negative statement about police in general, but this day and age, you're almost suspicious about police departments that are funded, which this town of North Andover is funded to have body cams, and they choose not to wear them. It makes you, you know, especially for people that are out there that are saying, well, I don't trust the police, or, you know, I think certain police departments are dirty, for example. Then you see a situation like this happen where body cams, it's just like with the Karen Reed case. If there had been Ring doorbell footage on other houses, and apparently there was, and it might have been removed, whatever it may be, you know, Ring footage would have shown you what happened at 34th Fairview Road that night. Body cams would have shown you what happened in North Andover that evening.
If it's almost like they don't want you to know what happened at 34th Fairview that evening.
If this officer is telling the truth, and I'm not saying he is or he isn't, I have no idea, I don't know. But if he is, and he's, you know, getting mixed up in this and being accused of this, that, and the other, there should be nobody on the planet, with the possible exception of Kelsey Fitzsimmons herself, who should be more pissed off that there isn't body camera in this case than him.
Yeah.
Right. And furthermore, one thing that we learned in last week's hearing was that another North Andover LEO, Durham, went and spoke with Kelsey in the hospital. That's one thing that Bradel was asking to get turned over in discovery, right? And he specifically said that there may have been body cam footage. So does that mean that North Andover actually does typically have body cams, and then specifically chose on June 30th not to wear them to Kelsey Fitzsimmons' home? I don't know, but that's something I'd be interested in finding out after hearing that.
If that were true, that would escalate whatever level of scandal this is 8 degrees higher. I don't know. I'm not suggesting it is true. usually if a department has body worn camera, they can't just not wear it because people will know that, and you know you're going to have problems. Normally what would happen is it just didn't go on during that incident. You know, I mean, you can activate it and deactivate it just by pushing a button literally on their chest to turn it on or off. But I guess the other question is, you know, why is this officer talking to her when she's represented by counsel? But I mean, that's a hell of a statement he made.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was MSP. That was the one with the body cam.
Well, that was part of my question, because I don't recall whether Durham was, or Durman. I'm sorry, Durman. Furman. Furman. Thank you.
Furman. Yeah.
I have to just make that linkage in my mind with the.
I would be shocked if they had departmentally body camera and these guys didn't do it. That's so stupid that it's not like that's an excuse that what there couldn't be stupid here, but that would be whatever comes after stupid, which I don't know what. They wouldn't.
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
like
A few things come to mind, but I'll keep those.
Yeah.
Keep it PG.
You have to assume that there's just no body camera, and that's a township issue, a budgeting issue, and whatnot. And you'd like to think after this case, if you live in that town, I mean, this case becomes the poster child of wouldn't it have been nice if we had body worn camera, for not only because we may be wrongfully prosecuting, we may have a lying police officer, this Noonan, which again, don't know if he is or he isn't. And also, if the body camera shows her pointing at her head or pointing at him, the likelihood of a trial becomes much less. The cost to the taxpayers becomes much less.
Mhm.
Maybe, you know, there's more public confidence in law enforcement, generally more transparency, blah, 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 all that stuff. And, you know, you're not having this kind of situation. So there's no reason not to have body worn camera, because the camera don't lie, as they say. If you want to know what happened and just deal with it in a truthful way, who would be against that? I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah. And if you're going to prosecute Kelsey, you would have more of a good faith basis that, you know, the Essex County DA keeps on citing. You would have more of that good faith basis to prosecute Kelsey, because right now, as far as evidence goes, they don't have a whole lot. They don't have any. Thing is hinging on the word of Noonan, and depending on a lot of things, you know, having a gun potentially pointed at you is something that's quite stressful. You may mix up your memory. There could be details that you don't remember. I mean, that's something that happens all the time. It's a traumatic type of event. So Noonan could be earnest in his entire story and just not recall everything correctly, because it's quite a heavyweight instance to be part of.
You're going to see a defense argument, not that he's literally making this up out of whole cloth, but that perhaps, you know, this is a hot thing that's happening. There's a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of emotion. She does have a firearm, and he misinterpreted and just panicked. And then, you know, oh shit, what do we do now? And all right, you know, she drew on me. Because again, every police officer knows that if a gun is pointed at you, and that's the conclusion, that any shooting is going to be good, as long, at least to immobilize the threat. Not if you immobilize the threat and then walk over and just for good measure put one, you know.
Yeah.
Can't do that. That would be a bad shot. But the idea of, you know, neutralizing the threat, that would be justified. And again, the cops are always thinking in a police shooting, it's coming to me, they're going to blame me. And it does give some degree, some argument for the defense to say, that's why the story became, she drew on me, because if that's credible, I'm in the clear. Period.
And they didn't take their statements until days later also. So they all essentially could have very probably had time to get together and come up with a narrative that all fit, allegedly.
That's possible. I mean, you can't exclude that. I mean, they're walking around seeing a fellow officer get shot. I mean, you're going to talk about that.
Mhm.
Now, whether they're getting their stories straight or not, I don't know. Certainly seems plausible. But the fact that they would have had the opportunity to do that, again, is a failure investigatively, in terms of best practices and getting to the truth, because people do believe, and there is a blue wall. I'm not anti-police at all, but when it's a brotherhood and sisterhood, they're in it together. They have the most dangerous profession in the world, and they ended up shooting one of their own. They're going to talk about that. I mean, it's impossible that they're not going to talk about what happened. What did you see? Did you see this? Right? Yeah, impossible that they're not at least talking about that.
And it's important to also take into consideration that, like, all we have to go on is what's being said here. And in regards to this whole situation, we don't know anything about Noonan. I bet it would be a lot easier to understand the scenario a lot better if you actually knew who this guy was, how he was every day, in and out, like what he's like with his colleagues, things of that nature. But we're not going to know that stuff. You know what I mean? So we have nothing to go on but the few facts that are available to the public to make our speculation. And we could be completely wrong. For all we know, there's going to be stuff that comes out in trial that we're just like, wait, what? And you might see the guy testify and it have a completely different, effect on you than what you thought of the guy on paper. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, these are things that are like, that make these situations really difficult to follow and difficult in the sense, like, emotionally, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I want to go off this right now. Dream Feed Media just made a post on X that I found extremely interesting. I've been studying it in the background. Would everyone here, just to take a quick poll, would everyone agree that the only justification that Noonan would have for shooting Kelsey is if Kelsey was actively aiming the firearm at him? Would everybody agree that the only way it would be justified is she was actively aiming the firearm at him? Okay, so, and Britt Happens agrees. Fantastic. Thank you, Britt.
If I have reason to believe that my life is threatened, then,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's justified.
What's interesting here is that if she was aiming her gun outright, then her arms would be outright. And if she was in a kneeling or lunging position, her arms would essentially have been in the way of her chest, which means that if he had shot her while her arms were out extended, then that wouldn't be necessarily a target for him to hit. Now, if in this other image provided by Feed Media,
look how wide open that area is.
Look at her chest now. Look at that image right there. And that exact image, if her firearm was up to her own head, her chest would have been wide open for targeting. So if Noonan, this is why I think this has been my theory for a long time. That's why I think the first shot missing tells me everything I need to know, because the first shot missing and hitting that air conditioner tells me that Noonan overreacted and panicked and panic fired, then readjusted his line of sights, then shot her with a direct hit, which tells me, right. Go ahead, Brett.
I was just going to say, this also explains the one line that we have heard from multiple sources, which is, don't do it, Kelsey, that Noonan allegedly said. And that's the only thing that Noonan said that was also heard by other people in the vicinity. So anything else that Noonan claims to have said, there's no other person to corroborate that. So
I'm going to push back just a little bit, because for somebody who has to qualify with their gun every year for their job, it really depends on the angles and where Noonan was located. So just because your arms are out doesn't mean you can't reach the chest. It's very possible that you can. So it depends. So I would not go strictly on, the diagram of that. That wouldn't be.
That's a good point. I mean, that's a great point.
It's a great point. However, it does create a higher degree of difficulty for a direct shot on those arms if her arms were extended. So what I'm saying is I'm neither right nor wrong. Lauren's neither right nor wrong. Lauren's making a fantastic point, especially if he was standing up. However, it would be a higher degree of difficulty nonetheless if those arms were extended like that. Even if he was up and over, say if she was down on the knees, and then he's standing, that definitely, to Lauren's point, that definitely would still, be a bit better because that angle wouldn't look like this, it would look like that. Yeah.
What are the chances of him missing? What are the chances of him actually missing, considering the range? I mean, that room can only be so big, right?
Yeah,
so
10 feet
who's to say that first shot that hits the air conditioner isn't a warning shot? Again, none of us were in that room. We don't know. I don't think personally. I have no reason to believe that Noonan went in there intending to shoot her. I don't think he wanted to shoot her. I think that, like you said, Mazza, he panicked in some way, shape, or form. And like I've said before, my simple theory is that she went to shoot herself. The gun misfired. He saw an opportunity to shoot her in the shoulder, but missed the first time, overshot it, and then centered it a little bit better, but hit her chest because he's just not that good of a shot.
So
Lauren, I want you to jump back in as well in a moment after Mark goes. Just I want to hear more from you on that.
To the whole and the whole how are her arms. Not to get all lawyerly, but I don't agree entirely with, if the only reason that he could ever be justified is if she's full drawn. The way this works is, and you've seen the discussions we've had, and with what happened in Minnesota and all this other stuff. And if you do a lot of police use of force and self-defense type situations, as long as the officer reasonably believed, and that's objective, that's a reasonable person, not like, I swear to God, I thought she was going to do something because as long as you reasonably believed under the circumstances that she was going to use deadly physical force, then he'd be entitled to use deadly physical force. And there's a couple components of that, okay? You're allowed to factor in, I know she was on leave, okay, with perhaps some mental health challenges due to whatever, that she had just gotten her guns back. I'm there to serve an order. She's upset. I'm not defending this. I'm saying these are the things that get analyzed. I see her with the gun. What if she says, I'm going to end it, I'm going to shoot you, and is in the process of drawing, but is only like this? There isn't anyone being reasonable anywhere who's going to say in that hypothetical that he would not be entitled to use deadly physical force, even if she was not yet full throttle. You don't have to, a police officer doesn't have to prove a point and say, I let you shoot at me before I shoot at you, as long as it's reasonable under the circumstances. So it may very well be. The other thing is this: there is no way, whether she had the gun at her head or pointing at him, that a police officer is going to be trained to engage in like trick shot analysis like you see in the movies, and I'm going to shoot it out of your hand, or I'm going to shoot you in the arm.
Yeah, he can't justify that, but I feel like he probably tried something to that effect, in a panic.
What the officer is going to testify, okay, and he has a union delegate and everything, because again, he could be arguably, the testimony may be surprising to people, but it's almost certainly going to be, she drew at me and pointed like this, and you're goddamn right, I looked to shoot her in the chest, not because I wanted to kill her, not because I think she's a terrible person, because I wanted to stay alive.
Protect myself, right?
Yeah. She was using deadly physical force against me, and so I acted in my own defense to save my life or the life of whoever she's pointing it at. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to come in and try to sugarcoat this. I think the guy is going to come in and say,
Yeah.
Now, why did he shoot twice and miss once? How many feet away was he? I don't even know. About
10 feet.
Plus, Mark, what are your thoughts about the fact, though, that the grand jury, she was originally charged with an attempted murder, And the grand jury didn't indict on that. What do you think about that?
I think that is a bad omen for the prosecutor in using their discretion. Now, granted, they don't have to prove literally that she intended to kill him, but they still have to show that she used the gun in some unlawful manner, because, you know, it's not like a typical gun case where it's an unregistered gun and the mere possession is the crime. I mean, it's her gun. She's allowed to have it. Not so they have to get past that. And I think the fact that they couldn't even get an indictment by this guy presumably testifying, she drew on me. And that, for people who don't know how a grand jury works, defendant's not there. There's no judge. There's no cross-examination. It's nothing. It's the, you know, the ham sandwich that everybody always talks about if you ask a grand jury. And the Essex DA couldn't get a grand jury to indict her based on what Noonan said. Now, so the answer to the question is that's not good. I mean, that's bad, frankly.
Yeah.
Lauren,
I wanted to hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please.
Rick, I just have Lauren.
Lauren's been waiting.
Yeah, Lauren. I was waiting to get Lauren back in on the conversation because Lauren had, you know, proposed a lot of things. Lauren, you know what else was brought up in the chat was that she might. There's no Kelsey. You know, in that situation where they claim she shot at Noonan, you know, the picture shows two hands on the gun, but someone said an argument here. You know, if she had one hand and aimed at him, then that would have exposed the chest as well for a shot there. So I just want to get some more of your thoughts because we were, you know, you're bringing in some good information for us as well.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to have full exposure to your chest to be able to reach it. You just don't. It depends on your positioning. It depends on the angle. It depends on the height. It depends on a lot of things. But absolutely, like when I go to qualify, we have to qualify one-handed shooting. It's something that is taught in my profession, so I know darn well it's taught to police officers. So, I mean, it could have been a number of things. She definitely could have done it, you know, one-handed. I don't know, but I think the bottom line is that it's going to come down to who is more credible. What does the jury believe?
Right. And to that, just follow up on that, you know, trials, it all sounds great in preparation. You know, this is what this witness is going to say, and here's what we're going to do. And then, yeah, I mean, I know you're laughing. You know how this works as well. 80% of the time, that all goes sideways, and it's just it's a game of you know, action reaction, and you have to go and call an audible and go in a different direction and just do the way the facts are coming out. And what's going to, I don't know what this officer has said, whether he was even asked in the grand jury or not, about how was she positioned and how are you and where were her hands. And we're all getting into this kind of like amateur, you know, physics. We don't know. But what's going to happen is he's going to be cross-examined by, you know, a skilled lawyer, obviously, who's going to say, show us exactly what she was doing. I mean, get up, sir, stand right up. Show us what she was doing. How far away? You say, like, from, you know, where you're in the box to me here, we're talking 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet. And, you know, tell us about the first shot. How, you know, what did you do? How skilled marksman is this guy? I don't know. I mean, how the hell did he miss? No idea. But if he comes out and says that she was like this, and it looks, at least appears to a jury, not that this is scientific because it's not, but that her arms are in front of her, so he says, and a bullet ends up in a way where, like, it's like a magic bullet that kind of bobs and weaves around her arms, and so the jury thinks, then they're not going to believe this guy.
Yeah.
And Mark, you would love it because there's already been he's already had conflicting statements. He first said she dove behind a door and then came back with the gun. But the problem was she didn't have a door. So there was no door in that room. Yes. Yeah. So the story from Officer Noonan was that he was helping her, whatever. He was supervising her getting clothes for the child or whatever. And she suddenly dove behind a door and then reappeared with this gun, pointing it at him. But the problem is there was no door in the room that he's talking about. So there isn't a door. So now he's changed it to she dove behind the door jamb. So, like, you know, the molding on the door. Yeah. So now she's hiding behind this 1/4-inch door jamb.
with the
Graphic
the cloak of invisibility. I mean, how do we do this?
So in other words, Tim's going to have fun with a little bit of cross-examination with this.
Yeah.
one.
That's not a little bit of fun. That's a lot of
Right.
Yeah. And, I mean, bottom line is that's the only evidence in this case.
That's
It's
But
all
also-
going to hinge.
Here's how like a skilled cross-examiner is going to do this. It's not just going to be that he made a mistake. I mean, he's going to pull the string before you do it. It means what a skilled lawyer is going to do is ask a series of questions that are impossible to answer any way other than the way he's going to want it,
Right.
and then basically nuke him. In other words, as a police officer, you're not just like some random person who is responding to a traumatic situation and get forgetful. You are trained in the art of observation, perception, and documenting. And because for investigations, and it's going to be needed, and you know this, and you're trained in this, and you've had gun range shooting and all of this, and you know, they're going to have crime scene photos, and you know, he's going to get impeached with whatever he said about the door and say, sir, you know, can you show me where the door is? And you know, how do you make that mistake as a trained police officer? I mean, mistakes can happen in good faith, but that's going
The whole case is just the two of them. I mean, the whole case is, you know, Kelsey's version and his version.
Right.
That's basically it. Nobody else was in the room. Nobody else. There's no other evidence except for the two of them. And, you know, Kelsey probably, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not saying this, I have inside information, but most likely will not testify. I think Mark would agree with that, probably, that she won't. I mean, I don't know. But even if you're just, you know, I don't think you get beyond a reasonable doubt with just that officer's testimony with so many discrepancies.
I mean, obviously, you know, most defense attorneys always go in with like the working way. I don't want client testifying. It doesn't matter who they are or what it is. You just don't want it to happen, because again, why assume a burden you don't have? And then you have other cases where, you know, you don't want to do it, but you're like, sometimes you think about doing it more and whatnot. In this case, I'm not sure I agree. Now, again, if the case implodes, you're not doing anything. You're definitely not calling one. But if the only testimony is she drew on me, and that's it. I mean, and if she doesn't testify, there's no evidence to the contrary. You know, you need to get that fact out there. You also have, by all accounts, I don't know what else is luring in the background, appears to be a very sympathetic client defendant. Jury's going to know somehow that, you know, her child is not there, and they, you know, this is because of my boyfriend. This is one of those ones where if you know, I shouldn't use the usual language I use, which would be, if you put a gun to my head. This is not the case to say that, obviously. But if you literally say to me, you know, what do you think? This could be one where, unless the case completely implodes, you know, in order to make an argument in summation, you have to have evidence. You know, you can't just like make up argument. Well, maybe you can in certain quarters of Norfolk County and other trials, but that's there. Presumably in front of the judge that you were talking about, that everybody respects and believes will do this on the up and up, you have to have evidence to support an argument. You can't just, you know, say, oh, she pointed the gun at her head, but there's no evidence of that.
Sure.
Right.
I agree.
And another age-old argument that's been said multiple times, Lauren, I'm sure you've said this as well, as many others have. If she was re-racking a firearm because it jammed, and the room is only about 10 feet wide, Noonan, as we see him in the video, is a very large and imposing individual. You know, he could maybe have just, like, you know, walked across the room and apprehended the firearm, held her, put her on the ground, whatever, as opposed to whatever it was he chose to do, which was opening fire. I just, you know, this is what I just raise a lot of questions about him because of the fact that he was put on critical incident leave. Then after a certain amount of days, he was off it. Then there was the Flexerol incident where he overslept. And then, interestingly and most intriguingly, they place him back on critical incident leave after that matter happens. But if he was on critical incident leave because of the original shooting that took place the first time he was on it, and then he was back on duty, and then he oversleeps because of Flexerol, and whether or not that's true or not is here or wherever, but the department very intriguingly decides to put him back on critical incident leave again, which I wonder, why is oversleeping due to Flexerol also determined critical incident, unless of course they determined that he was not over the critical incident that took place before, and then in turn placed them back on that again. And if so, what was bothering him so much? Is it true that this man had possibly shot her without justifiable cause and his conscience was eating at him? I don't know. It's for everybody else to determine, or for the courts, but it just raises a lot of questions to me. It just stands out to me that he was placed on critical incident leave a second time like that. I just can't get that out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think if they stick to the clearing the rack, clearing the jam, I think that's a problem for them, because in that time frame, he could have literally jumped and lunged on her.
Yeah.
As to everything else with Noonan, I have questions as to what he was put on the Flexerol for, because it's a short term drug. So I would like to know what. And was that something that was prescribed to him? Was he getting it in other ways? I have questions, but he would have had to have taken a lot of the Flexerol to oversleep, in my opinion.
Where are the other cops when this is all happening?
Well,
One of them was on the first floor. Oh, go ahead, Bert. You want to take? Yeah, Sean Daly was on the first floor, and then Houston was walking up, kind of patrolling up and down the stairs, but he was down on the first floor.
And
Houston was upstairs, then went down.
Mark, they were both there were two cops going with her first. Then they decided to have the father of the child come to the scene, the one that just got the restraining order, to have him come to. He was in the basement of the house. Kelsey's upstairs getting, the things for the child. And she says, keep him away from me. Smart
Right.
girl.
She hears him. Yeah.
She hears him in her house. So one of the officers that was with Noonan leaves to kind of go, whatever, keep the peace and make sure that he does in fact stay away from her. So that's why there were 3 cops there altogether. But at the time this happened, Noonan was then alone with Kelsey in the bedroom. They didn't do anything to secure the firearms beforehand, even though obviously they knew she had them in the house.
What did they hear? I mean, again, cops are going to be trained. What do? They ask for backup, okay? Or they yell gun. I mean, was there any? I mean, what did the?
Yeah, it was just there's a
Don't
few different stories. Okay. But most of the people that did make statements, including the other officers, basically said what they heard was, Kelsey, don't do it. And I think Britt and Lauren and Mark would know if I'm not correct, but I think that was what was mostly heard from, and her mother was also at the house too at that time. So everyone heard, Kelsey, don't do it. Not drop the gun. Yes, exactly. So Kelsey, don't do it. Not drop the gun. That's not what was ever.
Which immediately to me is indicative to more of a suicide attempt than.
Well, let's be clear, okay? When a police officer thinks they're about to get shot and killed, they don't rationalize in their little baby voice and reason with, let's not do this, okay?
Yeah.
What they do is blast you, okay?
Right.
They get earthy.
And justifiably so. If she's pointing a gun at the cop, unless he's going to say, well, I wasn't really convinced she was going to shoot me, and I was trying to talk her off the ledge, and then it's clear she tried to shoot me. No, I mean, if she points at him, you have to expect a police officer to shoot right away. I mean, because why would you assume the gun's not loaded?
He's not going to talk. Yeah.
You're going to defend yourself, and you're legally and lawfully so. You're not going to reason with someone pointing a gun at you like that unless he's going to say, at least initially, I didn't deem her a deadly threat. I thought I could talk her off the ledge as she's aiming a gun at my chest.
Yeah.
I mean,
and even Justin said that he heard Kelsey don't do it.
The father of the child even said that.
Mhm.
That's what he heard was said.
This is
Kelsey,
another
don't
reason
do it.
why she is a strong candidate to testify, because it will corroborate her.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And to that
And I
point,
think that's what the grand jury thought too. I mean, I think they're like, because if she was pointing a gun at him, and pulled the trigger, that's attempted murder. I'm sorry, I mean, it's like pretty.
and to that
basic.
point, she's not just a regular person off the street who would be testifying. She is a law enforcement agent, and they have training in courtroom testimony. So her credibility is already above average if she were to take the stand.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What shocks me right now is the use of Tucker's prosecutorial discretion here. Because look at the material that supports, potential crimes of Justin versus the material evidence against Kelsey, and look at how Tucker said one way, we don't have a good faith basis to press charges. Yet he's just, full steam ahead with, again, there's nothing but the word of Noonan. And we're now having issues with Noonan's credibility. They're going to be able on cross to put a lot of material in front of him.
They're almost certainly going to lose the case. I believe that. I mean, I think she's walking out of there a happy person. But there are politics that come into play here. And when you have a DA who, may not have a strong constitution or a firm backbone, the politics can become problematic. And what I mean is the strongest unions in the world, we've said this before, are two: teachers and cops. Look, that's just the reality. That's not a criticism. That's the reality. And the PBA, whatever the union is called out there, I don't know. We call it the Patrolman Benevolent Association in New York. The police union is in a weird spot because everybody's a cop here. We get it. But they're going to defend the shooter cop who could get in trouble, meaning Noonan, okay? And so you have a situation where the officer, again, Noonan, not Kelsey, says, she tried to shoot me and I had to defend myself. The DA is a former cop, okay? Put that aside. That's just an observation. But the DA can't function if the police department basically riots against the DA. And if they don't back Noonan and the union, which is going to endorse him 1,000%, because they are in life and death every day, and they do need the backing of their union, and that's not a bad thing generally. If the DA says, you know what, I have problems with your story, the police union is going to declare war on the DA and say he doesn't stand up for cops. He's attacked, and you see this going on in New York City right now. With the new mayor who is perceived as anti-police. And you probably saw the news stories about the lunatics and the snowballs in Washington Square Park, and they were throwing them at cops. And
that was crazy. I was like, "What is happening?"
But how do you think the NYPD reacted to not only the Manhattan DA but also the mayor coming out and saying, oh, it's just a bunch of kids throwing snowballs? Well, it went exactly as you went. I mean, the mayor is getting crushed by the police department, the public, and whatnot. And, North Andover is a lot smaller than New York City, okay? And they can't go against a case like this where it's not open and shut and clear. If it was clearly a bad shooting by Noonan, like meaning it was just obvious to all, most DAs would at least have the courage at that point to, like, I don't know, not prosecute the woman, also a police officer who almost died because the cop shot her.
Who got shot. Yeah.
But in a case like this, they're not strong enough to make a defense that there's lack of merit in the prosecution and that we're not going to do it, and I'll take the incoming flack I'm going to get from the police unions, and we'll be okay. They're not going to do it.
Well,
Here's a
and
look at
then
the bedroom. Here's a look at the bedroom for those that are wondering and want the visual for it. Maybe zoom in a little bit on this.
Where is the invisible door?
Right.
And he does say he was in the doorway. Okay. So he says, I was in the doorway.
So where was he, in fact, on this model?
Right here. Right by the left of that chair.
Okay.
So I would assume he says he was in the doorway to the bedroom. And then she lunged behind the door.
So she was behind him?
She was probably near the bed somewhere. I mean, I obviously don't know exactly either, because the story makes absolutely no sense anymore.
Could that be the closet and the picture is being taken from the doorway?
There's no closet door either. There was no doors.
The only door is the entrance door to the bedroom, which is what I think you see to the left of the screen there through the doorway.
Okay.
So he says he was in the bedroom in the doorway, and she was in the room, I assume. But
so Noonan,
what's interesting is now they actually changed it. This is what made it. It probably would have made more sense. And I'm not trying to give them clues of what they should now say. If he was like the little entry, the little enclave there, that little spot there, if he was like in that doorway, but and maybe clarify that, and then said she ducked behind the other entranceway. But now he's saying he was behind the door jamb instead of it, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, so the story changed, and the change of the story makes it make even less sense. That's the way I look at it now.
It looks like he had to do a pirouette in order to see her and aim at her.
Yeah. And can I just make one comment that it has nothing to do with the drawing of the guns, okay? Mm-hmm. But when you think about Justin's story and what he put in that restraining order affidavit, you would think Kelsey is literally some psychotic, crazy, drunk person having a mental breakdown. Damn, her bedroom looks really nice and neat for such a crazy person. I don't know. It's just like one of those things as a woman, when I'm like, she seems like she's got her stuff in order in there. It's a nice bedroom. It's well kept. It's nice and neat.
Skilled cross-examination is going to turn this guy into a pretzel on this kind of stuff. And it's just, I don't know what his explanation
is. Not making sense.
This is going to be, it sounds like, at least on this point, very cringe-inducing and not make a hell of a lot of sense. And I'm sure if there is a jury trial and there is jury selection, that you're going to see the prosecution try to do a lot of damage control just about how you view police officers and inconsistencies and things like that. Because if this kind of gets sprung on the jury, and they're like, why am I here? What is this? I mean, you're a police officer, you don't have a body camera. You're telling us, that she went in the door that doesn't exist. I mean, they have the burden of proof. I mean, that's the problem, certainly in a criminal case. They don't get the benefit of the doubt when there's problem after problem here, and there's no witnesses other than you to say what happened. I mean, if there was another cop there to clear it up and say, this is what he meant, this is what I saw, it might be less burdensome for them. But I mean, if this is your so-called star witness, Eesh.
And per the listing that's online, you can kind of do the math. It's 11 feet from the door to the window. So that gives you a little bit more, context of how big
that's not far at all.
All this is like range. Yeah.
It's not far at all.
When you're talking about a trained police officer, and if this is supposed to be, the image we're supposed to be given is like we're watching Reservoir Dogs having a standoff with guns at each other. The idea that that's from 10 or 11 feet away, that's actually freakishly close.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
And right, like you just said, in terms of, we're talking about trained police officers who are trained to shoot, trained to shoot
trained to shoot.
Right. So it just makes no sense that like even the first round missing, you know, and hitting the air conditioner makes very little sense to me. I have like just all of these questions and looking at this room and all of us just trying to make any sense of it at all has to work in the favor for Kelsey in court, because I mean, there's too many questions.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't answer the critical questions and are basically telling the jury, "Trust me, bro," as your argument, you are the prosecutor with the burden of proof, and you're saying, bro, you know, seriously, this is the way it must be. If you're speculating and you have the burden of proof, you lose. I mean, that's just trial logic 101.
Well, 25 years on the job in there. That's Scott, and he's a mod for both me and Melanie Little, and he's obviously a police officer. He's saying that it does make sense, stress, trigger control, etc. That's okay. I'm not doubting that, and I'm not questioning that, and I mean no disrespect to any experienced law enforcement officers. What I'm saying, and I believe what Mark is saying as well, is the burden of proof being on the prosecution and there being this many questions, that's going to make it difficult to convict Kelsey based on Noonan's word when there's all these questions.
Yes. 100% right. Believe that he is a reliable witness, and if he has to carry the entire case beyond a reasonable doubt, all the defense need to do is not prove what happened, but create doubt in having confidence in what the prosecution is alleging. And if their witness can't carry that burden, then they're going to lose. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, right on.
I'm
that
going
was
to
Scott in the chat.
I was excuse me just for 1 second. I'm gonna caffeinate. Get my
no problem, Brett.
I'll be right back.
No problem at all. We're closing in on $6,000 raised. We're at about $50,000.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. And I wanted to mention, Mazza, just from a more personal level, you know, Kelsey was allowed to move into her new townhome, and it's beautiful. She's feels so much better being in her own space, and she's got Maverick with her, and she has so much gratitude for so many people actually buying things off of her Amazon list. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds with it, but you know, many things were missing from her home. Many things, to the point where she had to start all over, you know, new pots, new pans, the whole 9 yards. So thank you to everybody who bought things from the wish list. She's so grateful to every single one of you for helping her out. And because she's starting her new beginning, and she's really already starting to make new memories in her new place, getting ready to get Caden back into her life and living with her. That was a huge thing the judge did for her the other day. Just allowing her to have her independence again, and to finally feel like she's regaining a bit of her freedom. So thank you to everybody that donated to the GiveSendGo, but also to the people that looked at that list on Amazon. She's putting everything to great use, and she's got herself all set up. She really is in a much better place mentally to face this trial, which is fantastic.
That's awesome news.
I'm getting really good feedback on that Amazon wish list. People really like having the visuals of what they're providing to her. So, you know, keep it up. Keep putting stuff on there. People really like helping and seeing what their money is going to and picturing it being of good use to Kelsey and the baby.
Exactly.
And that link is in the description for anybody that does need the Amazon wish list link. It also includes the GiveSendGo. It also includes the Facebook group as well, which is extremely informative. So if anybody needs that information, just go to the description in this video to get there and help out Kelsey Fitzsimmons any way you can. And one more thing, the popcorn store is opening up again tomorrow. That link is expected to drop tomorrow. Tonight for tomorrow when it officially opens, I believe at midnight. That's going to run for 1 week. The popcorn store was run the first time by Allison, who I reached out to. Red House Media Chat was all over me saying, Mazza, we want the popcorn store back. I said, all right, let me get in contact with Allison. I said, Allison, they want it back. She says, I'll get that going. And she got back to me yesterday. Said it's a go for tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that link.
Awesome.
We'll be
Great.
spreading it all over. And cinnamon toast crunch flavored popcorn and the strawberry shortcake popcorn. Really good stuff.
The cheese is really good too. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I might even do a popcorn show this week and just see if we can just have a popcorn session. Just do some cool
Popcorn
stuff. So, no, I'm happy. Yeah, popcorn sesh, man. Closing in $54 away from $6,000 right now. $54 away. Now, let's talk about Justin and what's become of him here. A week ago, he was on NBC 10 in an unrecorded interview. 1 week later, he finds himself suspended from the fire department. Of course, this is not for a matter of things that we all were petitioning for, including Audrey, who has gone to 2 select board meetings, stood by herself 2 weeks in a row, standing up on behalf of, you're welcome, Allison, you're welcome, stood up on behalf of the town and her thoughts. She's battling the fight at home in North Andover, but this ended up again being because of security footage that Kelsey's father has. Basically, he has a lot of security cameras around there, and it had a lot of imagery of him, puffing constantly from every angle imaginable. But this information has now had the North Andover Fire Department basically say, okay, we're going to suspend him as a result of this. And while Massachusetts, you can smoke marijuana, there is a North Andover Fire Department rule that you can't be basically on the, as the song used to go, doobie doobie doo, while you're working for the fire department, which allegedly, and someone can correct me here, allegedly does drug testing every single day, which begs the question, if he was being tested every day and he was smoking as often as it is being claimed, then why did the fire department not have any records of this, or why did they not?
I call bullshit that he got tested every day is what I'm saying.
agree.
I never saw that. They actually say they test every day, or they can test. I thought
right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. From my understanding, they can test anytime they want to. And
right.
And he probably got a heads up from somebody above him, when they were going to do them. And that happens a lot in jobs. Like I know people who have had city jobs who their supervisor would be like, hey, just so you know, in about a week, they're going to start.
Can test daily was what I meant to say. My mistake. Can test daily. Doesn't test daily. My mistake. Oh, I thought I read somewhere that they did test daily. It was one of the things I was reading in one of the docs. I must have misread it, but it must be can test daily. So,
well, I think that they haven't come right out and said it, but they did suspend him. Yeah. I don't think they suspended him based on videos that were really, at this point, haven't been authenticated. The things that we see on X from the Twitter lawyers, as Mark would call them. But I think that may have prompted a test. And I don't know. I mean, without much advanced warning, I'm not sure. Maybe that's what did it.
That would certainly make sense.
I'll say this too, because I'm going to be celebrating, what year is right now? 2026. I will be celebrating 9 years clean next month.
Right on.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Congrats.
Thank you. But there are a lot of things that addicts do to avoid popping on drug screens. And the fact that, I don't know how long Justin has been on the job here, but he has been, I can almost guarantee you there have been measures taken to avoid popping any drug screening that he's had. You saw it in Kelsey's affidavit, in which she said that the brother who comes to visit times their drug use around when he's going to be coming back. So they try to make it to where he'll be on leave for a couple weeks, and then, let it get out of his system for the rest
Yeah.
of the time that he's on leave. And then he'll come back, possibly get tested. And by then it's out of his system. So,
Channel
he,
that much effort in something actually productive. I mean, that, I almost respect that, just in terms of sir, apply yourself to something more productive.
right.
Well, breaking down doors, sir.
Well, and if he's willing to go so far out of his way to, plan and time things like this and, basically evade getting caught, right? This could really speak generally to his credibility on the stand. And I'm not saying necessarily that he's doing things like, and there are a lot of things you can do. You can put, someone else's urine in a little water balloon and, as long as you just keep it taped to your stomach so that your body heat keeps it warm, then,
oh my God.
you're good. Oh yeah. People will do crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
To avoid popping
And
screen.
still be able to do what they do. Can I just say that when I saw the footage, I did call it and say that Justin was on some
You did.
crackhead shit.
You were on
Okay.
it. Yep.
You did.
Yep.
So when I tell you that the shoe that was found and logged into evidence and was photographed was not the same shoe that was in the courtroom, please listen to me. Okay. It's not the same shoe. All right. I'm right about these things. Okay.
I'm just going to say about all this conniving and frankly consciousness of guilt and how to beat the drug test and all that. It's probably not admissible in the criminal case. It may not even be allowed to be asked, but I will tell you that'll damage him severely in the family court matter.
Absolutely. And that's my big problem with all of this. That's why I say we need reform in our 209A especially when you're like literally removing a child. So he got to go in on an ex parte motion with the affidavit and tell the court all these crazy things about Kelsey. She's drinking, she's doing this, she's doing that. How simple would it have been for the judge to say, okay, sir, fine, we'll hear your case, but you need to go down and submit to a drug test yourself. You know what I mean? Probation, people don't realize this. We have a probation department in the family court. Our probation officers are there too. They do drug screenings all the time. So they're right there. So they didn't even do that basic minimum thing at that point. They're just like, oh, wow, you say she's crazy and she's a drunk and here you go. We're going to give you this order and off you go. How much of this could have all been avoided if that were the case, because I think he might not have moved forward on it at that point. But now, Mark, just so that you know, the family court attorney has already filed a motion for a hair follicle for the beginning of April, that April hearing. And we both know, and I'm sure
an addict's worst nightmare.
Hair follicles to go back at least 3 months. At least 3 months.
Better memory than an elephant. Yeah.
Yes. So he can do all the shaving he wants. I have had cases where people have shown up and they're like, look, well, how am I going to do a hair follicle? You've got hair all over your body and we can find some. Don't worry. We'll find a spot you missed. We'll find a spot you missed.
Someone in my chat last night said something that was really funny. She said, I could just see Lisa now. She's pouring the air in the tub. Get in, Justin.
Oh, boy.
So funny.
It really adds a lot of irony to when they were, being so sneering against Kelsey's parents.
Oh,
Do you remember when they were saying, well, we don't want the baby around Kelsey's parents because Kelsey's parents drink alcohol on the weekends or something like that. That was like, well, we don't feel that these grandparents are going to be a good example for the baby. And it's like,
And how about the fact, even if we go into the criminal court and when Judge McCarthy Naiman did the Corey checks, which I understand that when Kelsey was going, they had to have Corey checks done at Kelsey's house on her parents and whatnot. And I don't know the specifics of it, but there was a family member that they had to take care of an issue so that Kelsey could move back in with the parents. And then you flip it over to Justin's house, where he has a sister who is a serious addict and has, I don't know if she's still an addict. I'm not defaming her. I'm not going to even mention her name, but apparently there was an allegation that she does have some issues. There's a long arrest record, but again, that's why I'm saying the reform. He goes in, tells a story, files an affidavit, tells the judge, I need to have this baby and get baby away from mom, breastfeeding mom, 4-month-old now. They say, oh, yeah, sure, here you go. Do they check his household? Do they check anybody that's in the household? Do they run Corey's on everybody there? Do they send him down to probation to do even a pee in a cup test? Like nothing. They're just like, sure, we believe you 100%. Go get that baby. And here we are.
Right. No check of who is actually living in the home that Justin is, like all of his siblings still living at home with mom and dad. Yeah.
Nope. So seems a little one-sided, just saying.
Well, when the time comes for the custody of the child to be determined, I'll just say this. Kelsey, is going to have a home for herself. And during this interim period where Mama Lisa has been taking care of the baby, Kelsey has still been providing for him financially, through the sale of her home and having that, $50,000 placed in the account and an additional $12 a week or whatever it is. And as long as possible, the baby remained on Kelsey's health insurance. So all of that is going to look great for her in probate court.
Yeah, atrocities aside, as you put it earlier, I mean, a blessing in all this is that she still is able to nest while that maternal nesting instinct is there. You know what I mean? So the timing is still okay. It can still be work in Kelsey and her baby's favor to be able to bond and do all these things. There's still time to do that. It's cutting it close, but there's still time to do that. Not to say that she should have gone through any of this anyway, but there's still hope that much could be mended still.
Absolutely, Will. You're 100% correct. I mean, she can get back with that baby. And their bond, it will never be broken. And she's a good mom, and it's all, everything happens for a reason. And Kelsey believes that too. And her family believes that. And one of the reasons they're already pointing to is, thank God a marriage did not happen. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the blessings out of all of this, and Kelsey, a lot of these things, close to herself, wanting to not damage Justin. She was trying to be good to Justin. And now here it's all come out, because
even now she's not asking for full custody. She's just asking
for
she's wanting to make decisions about the child jointly and raise the child jointly. Yes. And, all of this behavior on the side of Justin's family, begging for additional drive-bys because they're so nervous that someone from Kelsey's family, aside from her stepsister, is going to show up at his baptism.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
The methodical plotting of Justin's family to turn the narrative against Kelsey, with these phone calls to the Stowe Police Department, in particular, this Kelly Barheit, who made several reports about things, but never really got the story from Kelsey or Kelsey's parents, and was disseminating this information to the entire Stowe Police Department, that somehow the Alayans were victims of Kelsey and her parents, and they needed to be protected from these horrible, terrible people. There is absolutely no evidence that Kelsey's parents are horrible, terrible people. They're just nice, down to earth people. There's no record of anything that they ever did to anybody. But they were just like building this narrative against them. It's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, what
that's going to help in family court, though. Like,
absolutely, yeah,
it's going to help in family court because, you know, they don't want. I remember going through this myself and my attorney going. I remember being like, "No, this person is abusive, and there's no like this is. We don't want her to have anything to do with this." And they're like, "Yeah, but it looks better if you're willing to be." To co-parent, it looks
absolutely
better. If you try to look, if the judge feels like you're trying to keep the child away from the mother, it's bad. You know, it could be very bad.
It's all about acting in the best interest of that child. And if you look like you were just trying to alienate,
right,
you know, and act in a way that is using the child.
I see what you did there, Britt.
Thank you. Pun intended. But if you in any way appear that you are using the child as a pawn in a war from adult to adult,
right,
and you know, hating the other parent more than you were loving your child, then that's going to come back pretty poorly on you when they're making these evaluations. And I'm telling you right now, all those text messages and communications with the Stowe police asking for additional check-ins and all that, they were not really feeling like they wanted attention and protection. What they were wanting was a show of force, some kind of, you know, look at us, we are the victims here, we're trying to further our own narrative. And
right. And meanwhile,
they wanted a paper trail.
Right. But meanwhile, here you have Kelsey's parents following the proper procedures for trying to get the grandparent visitation rights. And if they were so concerned about things, you know, they could have tried to work with them, meaning the father and his lawyer, to fashion a parenting time schedule, a grandparent time schedule, and even set places and potential, you know, supervision, or even with Justin attending. But they just outright were like, no way, you can't see this child. So really, I mean, they're not, instead they wanted to paint this picture of these horrible, terrible people who actually went through the court system the way they were supposed to do it. They did it the proper way, and were met by complete defensiveness from Justin to say no, basically no, you can't see this child. Not only can you not see the child, nobody can come to his baptism. We're not letting the stepsister can come because they actually agreed to that in the court papers, but we're not going to provide you with updates. We're not going to give you pictures. We're just going to cut you out of his life, and then turn around and tell Stowe police that, oh, these maniac people, we're so afraid what they're going to do. They're going to come. What are they going to do? They're going to file their complaint in the probate and family court. Oh my gosh, that's freaking terrifying, isn't it now?
And might I add, I mean, even after all of the things that we're now seeing with our own eyes, Kelsey's family has never said a word, bad word about this guy. I think that alone speaks volumes. Everything that he has done, that his parents have narrated, is going to come back and bite him in family.
Right. He's the one whose actions are dictating malice. You know, not hers. And the overall grand scheme of things, when you look at the timeline of events, his actions seem to have malice behind them versus hers.
Yes. What were they referring to when saying that Kelsey's dad has been causing quite the scene in?
They're delusional. That's what they were referring to. Just like they made up everything else. Delusion. They needed to spin the narrative.
And then didn't Justin say in the recorded call to the North Andover PD that the family had filed, what was it? neglect or something against Justin? What does that even mean?
I don't know, but
Negligence.
that's not true. Negligence. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it was not true. You know,
How do you
just
does that
lie.
even exist? They filed negligence against me.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And then he says the father's going to come down here. And I'm telling you right now, basically, he's going to come and like cause a problem and assault me and this and that. And then the next thing out of his mouth is, oh, we hugged. And it's like, okay, so 1 minute dad's coming down and you guys are going to be like to fisticuffs. But then now you're hugging each other. I mean,
what disturbs me about that is the cops corroborated this story.
Yes.
And Kelsey's dad denies it intently. He's like, there's like, no, like it was bad. Like it was a bad scene.
So strange.
I mean,
it's very strange.
Just using common sense, right? This man had fortitude to go and put up a whole new alarm system the night before, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets an alarm that it's going off and obviously comes to check and see what's going on, alerts the cop that someone broke in. Justin admits to saying he's breaking in. Do you think they're hugging it out? Because I don't think so. Like that just doesn't compute.
Everything, like dad went,
hug me.
Right.
like Dr. Evil.
Bring it in.
Dad went full on like protective mode, like changed all the locks, changed the security.
I love this guy.
All this trouble, went through all this trouble just to be like, oh, we're cool, man. You know, everything's all right, man. You know how I get sometimes. Like, that's not happening. That's no way. This guy has destroyed. Like, my daughter is recovering from a gunshot wound. She's almost dead because of this guy. There's no way. There's no way. No.
Crazy.
And the Fitzsimmons family is security minded, defensive minded.
Right.
It's a family that says, hey, we're the ones that are afraid. I mean, let's be honest. The only ones that are technically claiming that anybody's houses have been breached here has been the Fitzsimmons. The only ones that have set up a security camera here has been the Fitzsimmons, not the other side. The other side's acting like, oh my goodness, these people, they're gonna show up at any moment now. You better have the Stowe Police Department drive by every hour on the hour because I'm hiding right now because I'm so. It's just, this is the same kind of. I'll just say it. Maybe I shouldn't. It's the same kind of nonsense we saw out of the McAlberts. Okay, it's the same thing you see to this day. It's the same nonsense.
It's so close.
The sense of entitlement, everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same thing. And typically those people tend to be what? They tend to be the ones that are the more suspicious characters. They tend to be the people that you don't trust.
Complete projection.
And I mean, Kelsey, she could go for it all if she wants, full custody of the child, but that's not what she's doing here. And quite honestly, when you talk about what life, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, what happened to Kelsey was extremely unfair. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, it went way off the rails from where it should have been, including her having her life effectively ruined. And quite honestly, God willing, thank God that her life was not ended as a result of what happened in that house, because she could have been, this is insanity. But this is a situation where if he had just gone through the standard process and protocol for child custody.
Sure.
And he would still be working for the fire department today, because it forced the hand of Bradle to say, guess what? We got about 200 different occurrences where you're smoking the reefer on camera and you're a firefighter. Now, they didn't want to have to do that, but guess what? This is what happens with people. When you do unto others, you risk people doing unto you. And if you can't afford to lose your job, then don't mess with somebody else's life either. This is why people need to treat each other well in life. Just do good unto others. Just be fair with other people. Don't just do whatever you can to prevent this, because at the end of the day, when you mess up with Kelsey Fitzsimmons' life, guess what happens now? You find yourself suspended now, possibly fired. It becomes an ugly situation for yourself. If they had just all gone to the court, said, hey, look, let's just work this out instead of trying to work it out after the fact.
Means anything to you, Mazza? Winnie and Lola definitely agree with you. I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry.
I was wondering
Hi,
which
girls.
whose dogs were barking.
They heard the voice.
I was just glad it wasn't mine.
It only started when we talked about Justin, so you know.
Yeah.
You went on a classic Mazza rant, and
Yes.
they were having fun.
We love the Mazzarants.
Exactly. Like they started getting all charged up in the background, like it's Mazza. You get the barking translator going, and it's like Mazza.
And you know, if Justin really were going to get his own belongings and the belongings of the child, what did he not forget the other 2 times that he had an opportunity to retrieve his belongings? He went on June 29th, the day before the incident. Kelsey, you know, helped him retrieve his stuff, right? It's mentioned in multiple filings wherein they say that, you know, Justin did not try to take the baby from her that day. He in no way asked to take the baby with him on June 29th. He got plenty of his own stuff that day. Then on June 30th, the police stayed with him after Kelsey was removed and taken to the hospital. They stayed with him to help him retrieve some of his belongings that day. So what on earth, you know, was he not able to get those 2 days that he needed to come back for on July the 3rd? And then, you know, if you really had every right to be there, why were you so concerned about the video footage? That the first thing that you did was go downstairs and rip everything from the walls.
Yep.
So,
and not to mention, wasn't he supposed to be there getting, you know, his things and Caden's things? Did it look like any of those things were in the basement?
Not at all.
Well, so like, you know, first things first, I think the basement, that's where he went and ripped out the modem and the security system. So, you know.
I believe one of the first things he went and got were his guns, which brings me to another.
Well, he says he removed those before. Remember, like he told.
Yeah. Another day, like prior. That was on his mind first thing, which brings me to like something that is concerning is that he has a license to carry and he is known to have a weapon on him at all times. That is a problem. Like you're in video smoking God knows what, and you have a weapon on you at all times. I don't know, but I wouldn't want to be in the same town with that guy.
No.
Yeah, you're crossing into waters that I'm gonna.
I mean, I don't know what he's smoking.
You're talking to fucking I mean, you're talking to dude. I mean, guns and smoke all the grass you want. Who gives a shit? It's America.
Well, we don't know it's grass.
That's me.
We don't know what it is. If it were,
we don't know.
I'm a huge gun proponent. I have several in my home. I'm very pro gun, but I don't want someone who's smoking God knows what. And there's allegations of him smoking multiple substances in her affidavit. And so I don't personally feel comfortable with him carrying a weapon to the store and I'm in the same store. I don't know. If I was a resident in that town, I have a huge issue with that.
There's acid that came up too, and one of the acid storing Adderall, stealing prescription medication. I've heard about the acid that's storing Adderall, but there's some other speculations that have been running rampant. But there's some of these were documented in Kelsey's. I believe it was Kelsey's statement as well. It came out.
Kelsey's affidavit filed in the probate and family court. So, I mean, she signed this under the pains and penalties of perjury. It's accessible. It's a public document. So she says acid in the summer of 2024. Obviously, multiple occasions of smoking marijuana, over 100 such videos. Just so much stuff. You know, like I said before, if even half of it's true, it's concerning. It's concerning to say the least. Let's put it that way. And it isn't an affidavit. And I really don't think with all the attention that this case has gotten, that she would have put all of these things in a sworn statement if she didn't have the receipts. And I firmly believe she has the receipts, and she has shown that. And a lot of these receipts didn't really come to even the defense team until the Commonwealth, after the certificate of compliance was filed, made some more disclosures, including this video, these video surveillance tapes from the household. So that was after certificate of compliance. But I will note that they did date the certificate of compliance for December of 2026. So I feel like they were trying to make sure that just in case something else came in, they post dated it, so it's all set.
That's good.
Mazza, if you're okay with me mentioning another channel where there's a fundraiser happening tonight.
Yes, go right ahead.
Kelsey. And everybody on this panel present now, if you'd like to join in on it later tonight, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the link, because she has asked me to spread the word and tell all of you that you're also invited. But Angie M, who I'm figuring out who she is, but I believe she's a member of Rat House Media.
Yes, correct.
So she is hosting another fundraiser tonight, and it's going to be a joint fundraiser for Kelsey and also for Aiden. So I'd like to, while I'm thinking about it, go ahead and plug that. It's happening at 9:30 on her channel tonight, and her username on YouTube is Angie M 1984. So be sure to stop in for that as well. It's going to be both for Aiden and for Kelsey. So
perfect. And that's 9:30 tonight Eastern time.
And I'll put the link in the chat as Jessica suggested.
Perfect.
Hang
Perfect.
tight.
Excellent. It'll be good. Yeah, all the fundraisers people can do for Kelsey out there is great. Lauren Katie as well. Lauren, this past Friday or Sunday, a week ago today, had a record-breaking show, which was absolutely fantastic. Lauren, congratulations on that. And we just appreciate everything you've done as well. My channel, your channel, and soon to be some other channels joining in very shortly with assistance for Kelsey with fundraisers. Appreciate that. And just a special shout out and recognition to Lauren as well. This way, not that way. I always do it the backwards way because I'm looking at you to the left. So I'm always pointing to the left, but then it's like you had to go this way. So, but yeah, that'll be good. The more fundraisers, the better. And it's crunch time at this point. So it's we're closing in on trials soon if it starts on time. Right now, it's set to start on time with no delays. But we're just trying to help Kelsey out as much as we can. And what's great about these fundraisers, this GiveSendGo, is you're helping out Kelsey with a multitude of things as well. You're helping her out with household bills and living expenses, medical costs and therapy for her recovery, travel and time costs for her family so they can be by her side and support her, such as in Lawrence or Salem, experts, investigators, and legal incidentals as well. So there's going to be some experts that are going to be involved in this trial. As you saw with Karen Reed, you had ARCA, you had other people that came out as well, Dr. Marie Russell. Experts cost money. There's travel involved. Right now, we don't know who the experts will be, whether there's one or more. But these will be experts that cost money and are going to be an expense to Kelsey. And we thank everyone that's donated tonight, has donated in previous fundraisers, is going to donate later tonight or at a later time, or anyone that's going to donate at Angie G's fundraiser later tonight. I appreciate that. But this is very helpful. You're really putting Kelsey in the strongest position possible to excel, succeed. And we can't impact necessarily what happens in court. We're not behind the scenes with Martha Coakley, Tim Bradle, Courtney Healy, and doing all the behind the scenes work with Kelsey and her family. But what we can do is the more public facing stuff, such as on YouTube, gathering together, raising awareness, talking about this on our channels, being on or appearing on other channels, whether you're hosting or appearing on it, raising awareness, and just bringing in those funds. Michael Morrissey, the DA in Norfolk County, begged basically on his hands and knees for $1 million to hire Hank Brennan for the second trial because Karen Reed's defense fund was uncommonly well funded, which to me told me that everything we've done, these 12-hour fundraisers that the Glare has done in the past as well for Aiden, Karen, and others, again, is uncommonly well funding them to defend themselves. And it's the same thing for Kelsey. We're giving her the best chance to get the best experts, fly people out, give her the best chance to restart a life that was nearly taken from her and a life that is built back from the ground up. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is in a comeback tour portion of her life right now. This is the comeback tour.
Yep.
Not a Taylor Swift fan, but I've heard about the comeback tour. This is a comeback tour for Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and she's going to win. It's going to be a big time win. And Mark Betterow grabs his hands in his face like, I just can't believe Mazza just used comeback tour. But it's a great phrase. It's a marketable phrase. This is the Kelsey comeback, and she's going all the way. She's going to win. And there's going to be wins in court in the next week or two here. There's going to be wins in probate court for her. This is just the beginning. But her life is picking back up, and we're happy for her. We're praying for her. We're all putting our money where our mouth is by making donations to her. So that's my comment. Mark, don't be too hard on me about this. Don't be too hard on me.
No, you're doing this. I mean, look, what you're doing is incredible. You've been kind of the leader of this whole process and
Thank you,
done
Mark.
this again. So you're doing a nice job. But for a minute there, I got to look. The cheesy meter was tilting with the comeback tours and Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But
Tay-Tay? What's wrong with
Tay-Tay?
Tay-Tay?
Yeah.
I love me some Tay Tay.
Yeah.
oh man, we went through a phase of that in this house. With my
I
daughter.
couldn't use revenge tour, Mark, and I'm like, I need to have a phrase that works. And comeback tour made sense, but the thing is, it's like, well, wait a second. Taylor Swift already has a comeback tour, but I'm like, I can't think of anything else. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to go with comeback tour. I didn't want to make the Taylor Swift reference. I try to avoid it. Not a fan of Travis Kelsey either. I'm like, that's gonna be the
I
phrase.
will tell you, Taylor Swift does nothing for me, obviously, but years ago, when she was in her peak, we had the opportunity. We were a guest of a very important person who was involved in making the movie that they made of her concert, like 3 years ago, whatever it was. And we were fortunate enough. He flew us out to LA for the premiere of her movie. And because they rented out the whole theater in the Grove in LA. And we actually got to go in the main theater where she was and Adam Sandler was and a few other people were. And so for that reason, I kind of have a soft spot for Taylor Swift because that was a moment for my daughter, and it was torture.
It's Tay-Tay, Mark. It's Tay-Tay.
For me and my son. We did go to Disneyland, but anyway, I didn't expect Taylor Swift and comeback tours to be, the driving force to bring it home. But all kidding aside, you're doing great.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. It's the best I had. I couldn't help that phrase was already copyrighted. I couldn't help myself. I just like the name comeback tour. This is a comeback. I mean, this is a woman that's coming back. Like the Patriots came back down 28-3. This is a comeback for her right now, and it's going to be huge. And it's sad to see people's lives get derailed like this or temporarily, placed in the position she was placed in. But I'm happy that she's starting to see those victories. Seeing that smile this week, for example, lit up a lot of people in a positive manner. We haven't seen that much, but this was really the big progression she was looking for. And it really, for me, I'm like, this is, after supporting her as long as I have, going back to September, this was really the first week where I sat there and said, oh my God, she's going to win. This is going to happen. This is really starting to pay off now. And that was really kind of a very victorious week. Me and Lori, we obviously messaged back and forth a little bit this past week about it, how happy we were. And, people were telling me how happy they were about it, excited about this. And, it's just, it's good to see because there's been a lot of negative moments in all of this. The time she spent in jail, the judge being, in my opinion, one of the top things. But the past few weeks, this thing has really turned a corner where you're starting to just see everything go Kelsey's way now, where there was a point where everything was a dogfight. It was a battle. And now that's starting to change. So I'm very, very happy to see that. It's very relieving because, again, when you support somebody, you're backing someone. We're all backing someone saying, we believe this person's innocent. you really want to see the evidence out there start to support that, as well as it was with Karen Reed for the longest time. So definitely happy and elated this week. Yeah, Bradel definitely was excited this week as well, and happy for him. But Judge Beverly Canoni looked a lot more. This comment says it all. That judge actually makes Judge Bev look like the person of the year. I mean, in my opinion, yes, I agree.
Yes,
No, you're right.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Hey, Mark, are you going to be coming up for? Is the mega motion finally going to be heard this week?
We have a court appearance on the 27th in Boston proper. I'll be there the 25th. I'm flying in. And that's the plan. Although the schedule is difficult. So we'll see what happens. I'll be there either way. I'm coming in town. Plans and to be there. And Mazza, who we kidding? I have Celtics tickets Friday night as well. So.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. I figured there's always you got to double up when you come out here, Mark. There's going to be two purposes. It's going to be court, the Patriots game, court, and a Celtics game.
I've got dinner reservations, Celtics tickets, other things, so I'm coming either way. But look, this trial is close to that, so we have to wait and see. There's a few variables in place, scheduling wise. But if for whatever reason we don't, then time permits, and maybe I'll make a tourist visit to beautiful Lawrence, Massachusetts. Who knows?
Nice.
So, Mazza, now that you've brought up Mike Morrissey,
yes,
I've been doing a little bit of digging, and there is going to be probably tomorrow my very first article dropped about Essex County DA Paul Tucker. And very much like Morrissey, this is Paul Tucker's very first position as a lawyer. Prior to being the Essex County DA, he has been an LEO and a politician his entire career. So I just found that parallel to be somewhat interesting. Not that I expect corruption out of every single DA who's never been an attorney before, but the pattern of behavior that has been established, seems to be with Tucker, what is the potential political blowback that I might get from, using my discretion here. There was another incident in 2023 in which there was somebody who was in the booking area of, a police department, a police office. And at that time, the current, I think it was the police chief, walked over, and this is all on videotape, just assault this guy who's in police custody. It was reportedly completely unprovoked, and it was all right there on video. And this same DA, Tucker, he just completely declines to prosecute that as well. So I'm doing a little bit of research on that, because there's, there seems to be a lot of this same decision making as far as, who do I press charges against and who do I not? And it just seems to be a little more, if you're in that circle, no accountability. So more on that tomorrow, possibly. Nice. I'll be dropping a little article on that.
Awesome.
Nice.
Excellent.
All right, we are closing in 15 minutes away. We usually go 3 hours on fundraisers, and we're closing in towards the end. I see Sarah B. Creative just made another donation. Thank you, Sarah B. Creative. We're closing in on, we're over $6,600 right now. Thank you guys to everyone that's made a donation tonight. This has been amazing. A great, this is the second highest one that we've done, which has been incredible. We also kind of we kind of broke the rules a little bit last time. We went over the 3-hour allotment, and I think we went 5 hours 2 weeks ago. So, to
Well,
get
it's
to
high. We're
in.
getting high on the
We're in.
donations.
Yeah.
right.
We couldn't stop.
And
Yeah.
we were hitting so many goalposts too. It
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
you know, it was like
funny.
the $90,000 mark, and then Mazza's $40,000 mark.
Just
And
when
we
we
were
were
having
about to
fun.
stop, it would be another one. You know, it was like
Right.
And we were having fun anyway.
Yes.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
That's
very
awesome.
it was a very satisfying night, because we had just gotten the video footage from Justin's B&E, and I think
Yeah, we
also-
were a special kind of fired up that day too. Yeah, because of that.
Yes. As the chat was too. Yeah.
Having
Oh,
the
yeah.
door broken down by people goon squatting through your home is, given the nature of this, certainly a motivating factor, I think, for people to open their checkbooks, I would think.
100%.
Someone in the chat was asking about the t-shirts. If you're referring to the Justice for Kelsey t-shirt, I got all of my Justice for Kelsey gear on the Gator Boy. I'm doing a horrible job here. On the Gator Boy page, Facebook page, and all of the proceeds go toward Kelsey's defense fund as well. So if you want one, I think the shipping was either free or cheap, and that's where I found it. So on Facebook, the Justice for Kelsey Fitzsimmons Facebook page, there's a link in there, and it takes you right to the Gator Boy store, in which you can get Gator Boy gear or Justice for Kelsey gear.
Perfect.
Yeah, and everybody go give that that site a like too. They are growing so rapidly as this trial, nears to its start date. More interest is coming in. So go give that a like if you haven't as well. It's full of all kinds of articles and information and all that stuff. All the goodies.
It's been a great run. I mean, this is just, the amount of money that's coming for Kelsey in the past 2 to 3 weeks has been astronomical. 2 weeks ago, we did Fundraiser 12. We started off, it was about $82,000 raised on that website. Now this thing is closing in on $115,000 right now. It's at $114,693. The story has exploded. And it deserves, like I said, this story deserves this kind of attention. What happened to Kelsey is unacceptable. And it's something I just can't tolerate in terms of, when I do my shows, I go on shows, when I spend my time on this kind of stuff, this is what I'm in it for, is to, find somebody that I think has been done grave injustice, and spend my time trying to raise awareness and helping them. And, this is just, like I said, what's happened to her deserves, it needs to be a greater level of attention on these kinds of cases. There's just too much going on here where, what Karen went through for way too long. 2 trials. Are you kidding me? It should have ended in 1 trial. Goodwill.
And well, I was just going to say we can't count on mainstream media to do these things. We learned that from the Karen Reed case. But
did you see Justin's interview on mainstream media?
I have not seen that yet.
Well, he refused to have it be on camera, so that was weird.
Well, you Mazza, your free time is so limited to even be able to stream, and you spend so much of that limited time doing these fundraisers. So that should tell people, Mazza really cares about this, and Mazza has been busted his ass, and look at what you've done for Kelsey's fundraising so far. You've done amazing. It's like an honor to be a part of it, really.
Appreciate that work greatly, man. Thank you so
much.
much.
What's your total, Mazza? What's your total? You usually have both things going.
Sure, I'll get the latest update. We crossed 41,000. I know that much.
Wow.
744.
Great job.
744 for tonight so far. So I'm at I'm close to 42,000 right now. It's $41,918. Me and Lauren ought to just count my total and her total and combine them at this point.
Well, Mazza, you're the one that's blazed the trail for this. Like, I
Yeah.
am just happy to have helped in any capacity, but Mazza has been leading the way and like literally setting the
Awesome.
example for everyone, and really any case going forward, in the amount that we can do for someone, if we have an outlet and a way to get it out there. So
Yeah.
everybody, I mean, I speak for everyone. We all love you and we all
Thank
look
you.
up to you as a human
Thank
being.
you.
And so it's everything has been an honor that you have done.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it was it's been incredible. I mean, there was a moment in time where it was one of the fundraisers I did, and it was under 1,000. And I actually remember I had like a moment of doubt. I was just like, no, it was my one on November 30th, $345 came in. I think that was like a 1 hour one. And I think I kind of walked away like, am I ever really going to get, serious, every amount's perfectly awesome, no doubt about it. But at some point when you're like over 1,000, then you go under, you're like, you have that little bit of moment of doubt that creeps in your head. And you're like, oh, gee, is this, am I going to continue to keep doing this? And I just said, my mind always says, ultimately, don't let one, it's like with sports, how many sports games have I played where it's like, I'll have like 18, 20 points. And the next game I'll have like 4 points. And I'm like, geez, you just have to come out for the next game. You have to keep showing up for every game, regardless of the outcomes. You have to just keep showing up week after week, game after game. It's the same thing with this. So I just, I immediately got that out of my head. I'm like, you shake that up, don't worry about it, and just keep moving forward and, plugging away at this. And I'm happy because I've always wanted to see the story explode. And thanks to some security cam footage and some other footage and what's been dropping in court lately. And it's a story that's picking up. That's to say the least.
We all need to give a big thank you to Justin. Thank you, Justin.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk about the Streisand effect,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. I think we've eclipsed now over $42,000.
Awesome.
6824 is the new number. $2. The MazzaMedia is $2 shy right now. It's $41,998. One more donation. We'll put that.
Oh,
over
come on,
Come on, guys.
somebody.
Come on, guys.
Two buckaroos.
Yeah.
$2.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's
Here,
good.
I'll go
It's
ahead
I'm just happy to see what Bradle's unleashing in court too. I mean, this guy is bringing out a lot of information, a lot of stuff we didn't know. Whether some of the stuff, some people argue, is all this stuff relevant? Well, it is and it isn't. In some cases, it's relevant to the trial. In other cases, it's relevant to getting things out there for the public to see and the public to know, which is another big thing. Bradle's been a great strategist. Nobody knows him more than Mark Betterow. Well, I won't put it on the spot, but Mark Betterow's worked beside him for a long time now, and his lips are sealed. Obviously, we're not trying to solicit any kind of answers to Mark, of course. But this is a man that's very strategic. There's a lot of times I see Bradle as one of the more underestimated attorneys. I've seen that happen where people are like, I don't know, blah blah blah. But Mark, Tim is always a very strategic attorney, and he's not always revealing all of his cards, and he may not reveal those cards in the manner people want to see. But he does that in a very strategic way. And when he does put those cards down on the table, they come out in a big way. And I just think Mark's a great attorney. He's a fantastic attorney. He's representing two clients right now that everybody knows, Aiden Carney, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And both of these cases have been very intense cases, to say the least. But I'm just happy to see Bradle out there getting this done. And Mark, did you want to chime in?
No, just when you said these are, contentious cases or whatever they are, I said just a wee bit, slightly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to say the least. Kelsey's GiveSendGo has now surpassed $115,000.
Wow.
It's incredible.
I'm making my donation right this moment in case if I look distracted, that's why.
And that's okay. And the MazzaMedia 13 fundraiser total is now at $42,153. $42,153. Thank you, everybody that's donated on these shows.
Great, Mark.
Amazing.
Yeah,
September 21st was the first one. Yeah, that's incredible. That's great news. It's great for Kelsey. I mean, someone said congratulations, Maz. I said no, congratulations, Kelsey, because Kelsey's, this is helping her out and getting her out there to just move forward, and that's what this is all about. I just can't stand to see what happens. Like I said, this all could have been avoided. This all could have been, something that was dealt with. There could have been some kind of agreement to joint custody of the child and a breakup, a separation, whatever. Didn't have to go this route. Didn't have to turn into a situation that turns into a chaotic situation that has deeply affected Kelsey's life. But you know, at the same time, you know, it's Kelsey's just been able to tell her story. And like Karen Reed has stood up there with a level of grace, strength, fought her way through it. Is it always easy? No. Is it going to be tough? Are there going to be days where you doubt, you know, if you're going to see the victory at the end? No. But over time, you know, eventually those smiles come out, like you saw to Kelsey, like you saw to Karen. Eventually over time you get there, and it's tough to be, you know, it's tough. You know, we haven't been in that situation first person, but you know, anybody that's ever been through trials and tribulations in life or unfair circumstances knows the only way through it is to just keep strong, keep fighting, don't give up, and press on through, as difficult as that may be. And eventually in time, you know, you get those victories, and it may not be something you want to go through. You might even say to yourself, why is life allowing me, or God allowing me to go through this? We don't know. We never know those answers. But at the same time, in life, we have no choice, right? But to fight our fights, fight our battles. But what I am so happy for is all the people out here that have chosen to stand with Kelsey through this, that have stood on this show today, other shows that are in this comment chat section, people that are donating. There's people donating all multitudes of money, from $5 all the way up to high amounts. It's been fantastic. Doesn't matter what you donate. It all combines together. But that's what the great thing is about humanity. We can find people that are in a bad situation and you know, help them out, you know, and say, hey, guess what? They don't have to do this alone. Their battles may be tough, they may be hard, but they don't have to walk through this fight alone without any help. And that's what we do here. We try to help people out, back them up, support them, stand with them, and give them their best opportunity to basically, you know, do what they need to do to get moving forward. And I'm happy for her. I'm happy just to see her smile this week. That was for me, that was the biggest moment, just seeing her smile, knowing what she's been through, obviously, and having the level of outrage I did, especially with the judge more than anybody. But I'm pumped up for her and excited, and I'm hoping the trial goes swiftly and soon and quick, and moves forward in a great way, and she can move on to probate court and do this, you know, get this battle going on for her joint custody of her child, which she deserves, and child never should have been taken away from her in the first place. And everyone agrees with that. That's why, you know, look at all the people that are supporting Kelsey right now. People believe in this. People believe in this. People believe in her, and people aren't buying the BS again. A lot of people didn't buy the BS unless you're some of the people that think Karen Reed was guilty. Most people didn't believe that Karen Reed was guilty at all. They believed in her innocence. It's the same thing here. So,
1,000%.
Say about that. Yeah, 100%.
I loved the post. I wish I remembered who it was so I could credit them, but they put a side by side of Kelsey while she was still in custody at one of her hearings. You know, she had her glasses on. It was very clear she hadn't seen sun in a while, you know, not in her best state. And then next to it was the picture of her, the moment that she realized the judge was vacating that second stay away order between herself and her child, you know, the one that made it to where even if probate court had allowed for visitation, she still would have been violating the terms of her bail to go see her child, you know. So the moment where she realized that that's what was happening, those pictures right next to each other with a how it started versus how it's going type of what's the word I'm looking for? But, you know, making that comment of how it started versus how it's going was such a great post with such a beautiful moment. That light in her eyes was just great to see. So,
yeah, great to see her smiling.
Yeah, the empathy that really drew the empathy out of a lot of us, I think.
Absolutely. The Purple Hearts are up right now for Kelsey. I'm sure she's tuning in. Kelsey, if you're listening, she is. Okay, Kelsey.
Listening. Yes.
Congratulations, and there's going to be more victory to come for you. This is just getting going, and we're sorry you had to go through what you've been through, but there's going to be the brighter days are coming ahead, and they're coming quick. That's all I got to say. I truly believe it.
For sure.
We're fighting for it. We're backing it up, and That's all we got to say is, congratulations on a great week, and more to come. And there's going to be a lot of success here for you very soon, in my opinion, and I believe it strongly. And Purple Hearts are coming up. Other Kelsey fundraisers are coming. Yes, there's one at 9:30 tonight on Angie M on YouTube. That's at 9:30 tonight. That's a dual fundraiser for Kelsey Fitzsimmons and Aiden Carney, 9:30 tonight. Lauren, Katie, we can expect your next fundraiser next weekend. It's going to be your weekend.
Yes, it will either be on Friday or Saturday. It kind of depends. I'm still working on a couple guests and trying to go off of their schedule, but you can definitely count on either Friday or Saturday be the next one for me.
And the Amazon link is in the description for those asking. Anything you need is in the description of the video. And all right, so we'll close the show here. I'll just say good. Let my guests get their final word in if they'd like, or if you guys just wish to depart, it's your call. Lori, I'll start with you.
It's been a great journey for us to get to this point and what you've done, Mazza. Honestly, I'm just going to put it all on you, Mazza. Thank you so much for everything you've done. And it's not just about the money you've raised, but the awareness that you have brought to this cause. It has made all the difference in the world. And I just am glad to be a part of it and to, just even be here at all, getting Kelsey back to where she needs to be with her baby. And that's what it's always been about for me.
Thank you so much, Laura. Appreciate it. And Attorney Mark Betterow, who had joined us today, thank you for joining us as well. Just some of your thoughts, sir.
Again, credit to you for doing this over and over. It's just speaks to your character, and
thank you.
You brought a nice panel in. You invited me, and so I wanted to come support you for what you're doing. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. I also, want to support co-counsel Tim, and if you said Kelsey's watching, you're in great hands. You'll be fine. I do think ultimately this will end the right way, but justice isn't free, unfortunately. And when you're fighting the system and they're coming at you with everything you have, and there are reasons to be invested in any particular case, it does take resources to get there. So if people support that is nice. I don't know that much about the case, as I told you, other than what we talked about and in some private conversations, but based on what we talked about and what I've analyzed, I think there'll be a happy ending. I do, whether it's a jury or a bench trial in that. But what first got me even remotely interested in this, if that's even the right word, because I've got, let me be brutally frank, Massachusetts fatigue, like you don't even want to know.
We love you, Mark.
I'm one of you. I was even recently watching Ted, which takes place in framing, actually, which is weird. But in any event, what drew me into at least exploring this a little bit, I look for injustice and due process as much as allegations of guilt or innocence. And what occurred back in the fall with, the bail hearing and the consequences thereof, it's just one of the worst injustices, pound for pound, under the circumstances, what it led to, that I've ever seen. And there's been other issues in this case that are problematic. And again, it's good that you bring this to light and let people, if they choose to do so, donate and support someone who has to fight like hell to get free, to win, to hopefully get your child back, and all that goes with that. So it's just nice to see that people don't have, I have Massachusetts fatigue, but apparently a lot of you don't have donation fatigue. And that's nice to see that people put their money where their mouth is and believing in, fighting for justice. So well done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Attorney Mark Betterow. We go to private investigator Lauren.
Yeah, again, just props to you, Mazza. You have literally led the way and continued to fight for Kelsey and to get the case out there and raise that for those funds so that she has good representation and can, we know trials are living and breathing things come up, so she will have that fund, when she needs that. And just everyone that has donated even $1, it really matters and it really counts. So thank you to everyone. And we stand behind you, Kelsey, and the tides are turning. Tides are turning and things are looking up, and we gotcha. So
thank you, Lauren. And then we got Will of the Glare.
Oh yeah, same thing. I want to double down on everything everybody said and what I said earlier about you and taking your valuable time and spending so much of how little of it that you have on these fundraisers where you get nothing out of it other than just knowing that you're doing something worthwhile and helping somebody who needs it. So it's not just a pleasure but an honor to be able to do that with you. And for somebody who clearly needs our help like Kelsey, and to double down also on what Mark the mighty one here was saying, just the fact that this community still manages to muster up their monetary support, just whenever there's something wrong, it's like, here, take my money. You got to beat this. Because the overall vibe just seems to be this sick of the corruption, sick of the good old boy bullshit in Massachusetts. And so whenever there's somebody leading that fight who was attacked first, obviously, these people want to get behind it, and it's a hell of a thing to be a part of, and I'm really grateful for it. So like you guys who do this, like getting to just even be involved with you guys is something that I'm just never ever going to take for granted or forget. So thank you guys for all your donations to Kelsey, and to Karen and to Turtle Boy, and you guys are amazing, because this is going to get expensive for her. This is an easy case for her to win, I think, but she needs the support to do it. And you guys, you can't win the race for her, but you could put gas in the tank for sure. So thank you guys, and thank you, Mazza, for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
And all you guys on panel, it's always awesome to hang out with you guys and talk with you guys.
Excellent. And Britt Happens, final thoughts.
Sure. Well, Mazza, thank you again for inviting me. I think I've been on, if not every fundraiser, almost every one. And it's been an amazing journey to, watch almost from the beginning how things looked so dark for Kelsey, and how, now it almost seems like we're seeing a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. And, a lot of the credit goes to you for, everything that you've done for her, and to all these people who have shown their support, who have, donated or helped spread awareness in some form or fashion. And to, people who donated their time, Lauren, Will, Mr. Betterow, Miss Mullen, everybody who has come in and shared their wisdom. I appreciate, and I'm sure Kelsey appreciates, everybody who has done something to contribute to this. Kelsey, I know that a huge injustice was done against you and against your baby. So I hope that everything that can be done to, bring some repair to that is done. And that everything that has been done with malice against you, in some way, there is peace at the end of that. So hopefully soon you meet your good ending, whatever that is for you. And everybody who's watching tonight, please give Angie M a visit. And when Lauren has her fundraiser this weekend, give Lauren a visit. And hopefully everybody is watching next week because we are almost there. We are 8 days away from Kelsey's trial. So please have your eyes on this. Massachusetts, we are watching. That's all I got.
All right, Britt. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody. And I'm going to stand by for a moment or two and just get the final tally. But Lauren, Will, Mark, Lori, and Britt, Melanie Little, Broken Baker as well, who were with us earlier. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. We raised over $7,000 for Kelsey. You guys
Bye,
have a great
everyone.
Sunday.
Thank you
Bye,
all.
everybody.
Good
Take care of
night.
yourselves.
Thank you,
Good to see
Mazza.
all of you.
Yeah, thank you all. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you so much. I don't have the ability to redirect. I was looking it up, how to redirect everybody over to Melanie Little, who's live right now. But I don't see how to do that, so I'm not able to do the redirect. I do apologize. I'm going to get a final tally for the live here. Let's see what we got. It's holding up at $7,284. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this up for a bit, and then I'm going to come back and check again. So $284. Perfect. That's good. Well, that's really good. That was a great night. Once again, the second highest fundraiser for Kelsey Fitzsimmons, which is good. The last one was over 11,000, so it's going to be tough to hit that. Plus, a lot of people have donated the past few days as well. So we're very thankful for everyone that's sent the donation, everyone that's made a donation throughout all of this, through any fundraiser, whether it's on this show or another. This has been absolutely fantastic. I'm very thankful for all of you guys helping me out today. I'm very thankful everybody that tuned in today as well. Not only tuned in, but also joined me on this show. Very thankful for everybody. Together, we make this happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm hosting. I get it. But, together, we're all making this possible. We're all helping. Please continue to spread awareness for Kelsey. And you guys take care of yourselves. From MazzaMedia, I am Mark. And we're going to end the show here. Tune into Angie G later tonight. I don't have the YouTube link for her yet. I'll see if I can find it. Try to post it later if I can. But other than that, we're calling off the fundraiser here. I'll probably leave it open for a little bit after the show's up. But let's end it with a gong and an applause. Great job today, guys. Have a good one from MazzaMedia. I'm Mark. Take care, guys. All right. Bye-bye.